Welcome into another episode of Building the Pride. I am your host, Drew, and I'm joined, as always, by my co host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Drew. How about yourself?
Well, as you have kind of coined the term here, it's Victory Tuesday.
It's Victory Tuesday.
So I
We get to
wanted to
say something
say,
we haven't said in 3 decades, Drew.
I know. Well, I mean,
Three
we said it
decades.
last week, but
We
we haven't.
are
Yeah,
division champs.
we are. So congratulations to the Detroit Lions. Thank you, Nick Mullins. We couldn't have done it without you.
That's true.
So
That
pretty
is true.
thrilled, pretty thrilled with Nick Mullins. Um, but yeah, it's a really great day. I mean, like there are Lions fans, lots of them, that weren't around in '93. I was
There
9.
are Lions players that, like, Jared Goff wasn't born yet.
Yeah,
I believe I saw only
I was
three
11.
players on the entire. Um, yeah, I was a sophomore in high school.
Mm.
I think I said there were only three Lions players that were actually alive the last time we won the division.
I always think it's really weird
So
because my dad, when my dad and I, A6 was 6. You're so young, nerd. So when my dad and I watch college football, he always gets like a real kick out of like when someone gets a turnover and they put on like glasses or they pose for like an imaginary photograph or something like that. And he was like, that's so weird that they do that. And I was like, they're 19. They're 19 years old. Like
yeah,
a lot of the players on the Lions, that we're talking about are, they weren't around 30 years ago. It's because we're older than them now.
yeah,
And like we
exactly.
forget, like we come up and like you watch football so long, you get the impression right off the bat that like they're older, they're men, they're bigger, stronger, faster than you are. And then at some point you realize, no, wait, I'm older than they are. I'd be on my third contract.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Like Bill Clinton was getting inaugurated as the president his first term in 1993. I mean, that's been a lot of presidents ago. Like,
that's some
it's been a
perspective.
while. Yeah,
That's some
exactly.
perspective. So
Um, so let's do this. Let's first start out with a shout out to our new subscriber, Fake Foot. Thank you, Fake Foot, for joining the subscription crew.
is that
Appreciate you.
89?
We
Subscriber
are at
89?
89. That is correct.
We're so
Correct. So
close.
yeah, bring your friends. There's more than 89 Lions fans out there, so let's find them.
Close.
Yeah.
So
Um, so yeah, let's talk about the game. So first, let's talk. Here's my thought.
yeah.
I think we got to talk about the game first because that's the most exciting piece,
All right.
and then we can kind of transition into talking about like what does this mean for the organization
Sure.
because it's a big deal.
Yeah. It's a big
When
deal.
you can make a guy like Taylor Decker cry, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that so like what I think about that is we were talking about him before the podcast or the stream tonight, Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams was raked over the coal this year because USC lost to somebody. I don't remember who it was. And when the game ended, he went up into the stands with his parents and like was visibly upset and crying. And it's always, hey Joey. Joey is recovering from COVID, so we got to go easy on him tonight. Okay.
Oh, you feel better,
But
Joey?
I think these are real
They're
professionals
real human beings. Yeah.
who put their body in line a lot, and it's super intense. And when you achieve something that you work hard for, it's emotional. And so
100%.
like I have always not appreciated it when people were like ragging on athletes when they show emotion and like whatever. And that's what you do when you show emotion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like that. So as far as I'm concerned, Taylor, just let the tears go, man, because I'm
Oh,
I'm in your
100%.
corner.
I'm
Yeah.
not like shaming him or anything. I'm just
Oh,
saying
I
like
I know you're not.
it takes a big thing, you know. If it didn't matter, he wouldn't be
Right.
doing that, right?
Yeah, it's not like they won game 3 of the season and he's just giving a press conference in tears, right? Like
Yeah,
they achieved something real for this franchise.
yeah.
And he's been with
For
the
a guy like
team
Taylor Decker, yeah, who's been
as
there
long
for
as
decades,
anybody,
right?
you know. Right? Wasn't he there for the 0-16 season?
I believe he was. Yeah. Taylor Decker.
We don't have to confirm it. It's fine.
He was
But
drafted
Mike
in
will, 'cause
2016. 16th overall. So I guess he wasn't, because that was 2008. That was, and then they drafted Stafford in 2009.
Oh yeah, no, that would yeah, okay. So A6 got us covered. Thanks, buddy. So that was a long time ago now, and thank God for the Browns, right?
It's true. I don't, if I can find it at some point, maybe during the show. I did see a list of in the last 30 years, we were I believe the only team that has not won their division. And then of course the Browns is a caveat because of the whole Baltimore thing.
Right,
But
moved to Baltimore.
it was like the average team had won their division 4 times over that time span.
Sure.
And then you got teams like the Packers that won the division 12 times, and I think the Patriots won their division like 17 or 19 times out of the last 30 years, and here we are doing it for the first time.
Yeah, tell me the Detroit Lions have been terrible historically without telling me the Lions have been terrible historically. Sure.
Yeah. So yes. So let's do it. Let's talk about the game. I don't think it was as close of a game as the score showed up. I think
really, I have a different take.
Really, I'll be curious because I thought we ran that game a little bit better and then kind of let them squeeze in at the end. I don't want to say it was never in doubt because, as we just talked about, historically, these are the kind of things that we let slip away from us. Grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory has been a Lions thing for 3 decades.
That's right.
So you always had that fear. But I didn't think. I mean, I just assumed that. I felt like we were going to walk away with it.
Interesting.
Scores had different. But what was your take? What were your thoughts?
My take was it took 4 interceptions for us to win by 6 points. So
true. Yeah.
This is just the classic tale that the offense needs to be basically perfect. And the defense has to basically come up with like in my opinion, like if the defense is going to contribute to a win on this team, it's not like getting off the field on 3rd down. They have to come up with a drive-ending turnover in order to end the threat because they can't end it any other way. So they're just the defense is just nowhere near what the offense is. And so if you're going to put all the eggs in your basket with like the Gibbs and Laporta stuff, then they need to produce all the time, literally all the time, not just every game, but like every drive on every game almost, because the team is built to win shootouts. They're built to put up
which is really
28, 35 points
because they don't have a quarterback that's built to win shootouts.
Well, shootout. Okay, so shootouts in the sense that they're built to win high scoring games.
Yes, the attrition game or the last score to win kind of thing.
Right. So I watched the game and my thoughts were, I think coming out of half, I was like 17-14 Lions. They give the ball to the Vikings, obviously, to start the half. And then something happened. Minnesota scored a touchdown, I think. And then it's like, okay, we're halfway through the third quarter, and they've, Minnesota's got the lead. Detroit takes the lead back. Detroit then gets another score. So now we're kind of out in front, but they blocked an extra point, and that changes the, like what you're trying to do at the end of the game, because now a touchdown wins it as opposed to tying. So I thought I kind of had my, okay, my anxiety's kind of dialed up to like 8 here. I need something to happen. And like Kirby Joseph came through with a couple picks. Melifonwu had another amazing game. And
game.
yeah. And just great stuff. And like I thought what?
Branch had a pick and then almost had another one in the end zone.
Yep.
Hit him right in the belly, and you're just like, oh my god.
I literally like those. I'm like, yeah, oh, like it's just highs to lows so quickly.
You're like, God, that's a 14-point swing.
Yeah, it is.
Or well, at least a 7-point swing.
So
I felt the defense part was part of me feeling like we owned the game. Mm-hmm. Like on one hand, it took 4 interceptions to squeak by winning by 6. On the other hand, like every time they tried to do something, we responded with an interception, and we were scoring. I don't want to say at will, but 30 points is a good chunk of points, right? That's higher than an average game offensively for most teams. But like I think that defensive like takeaway just was what made me feel like we just really had control of the game.
So I can understand that. My take is that turnovers are random. So I don't feel that.
Well, I mean,
confident
they are, but at the same time, but you put yourself in position to get those turnovers many times. Sometimes they're just random tipped pass and it falls into your lap, or a fumble that bounces right back to you or away from you, right? So there's some randomness, but like when you are putting yourself in to jump in front of that pass and catch it, I don't think that's random. I think that's good play by by defense.
So I think that if it was anywhere near, I don't know what the opposite of random would be called, constructed, I don't know,
consistent,
frequent, that this defense would put themselves in a position to do that a lot more than they have done it. So I think the fact that they're playing Minnesota, who's starting an 8-year third string quarterback, was the defining moment. So they start the game, they win the toss, they start the game, they win the toss, they choose to receive, and I was like, there you go, you learned your lesson. You can't give the ball to your opponent and get down. Like, you have to establish what the game is going to be, and they did. And they kind of just held serve, I thought, throughout most of the game. And my thought was, Jesus Christ, I hope that the Vikings don't clean shit up, for 2 weeks from now. But like Hawk is now out for the year.
We also have a couple weeks to clean shit up.
Sure. I mean, okay, but like, I think the Vikings' ability to improve upon this performance is greater than the Lions' ability to improve on theirs, because if you just don't turn the ball over 4 times, what does this game look like?
Yeah. I will say, like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just that, like, they won't have Hawk. They may be out of the playoff race. Last game of the season. So who knows if they'll have people like Justin Jefferson out there. But I like what they have done with their blitz package, which is made. They are manufacturing pressures now, which are turning into sacks, because they were like, where's Hutch? Oh, he's over there. Hutch is going to get a tackle and somebody else tied in at running back. You're going to get 1.5 to 2 people's worth of attention. And so on the other side, we are going to run a stunt, run a linebacker into that gap, and then we are going to run the safety right up the linebacker's ass. And that's the dude that's supposed to come free. So, and that was Melifonwu who got all the credit. But like
2 sacks last week.
He had 2 sacks, the game ending pick. It was just played great.
1 or 2 pass breakups as well.
Yeah, he just played great.
5 tackles. He was everywhere.
So one of my family members at Christmas was like, so when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson comes back, I'm not calling him Chauncey 2 Deuce or whatever.
CD
I just
Deuce.
Will not do it. I don't care if it's his legal name.
CD Deuce, baby.
I'm not doing it. they're like, when Gardner Johnson comes back, you're going to still play Melifonwu, right? And I was like, I don't know. I would guess not. But like, if he's playing like this, you can't sit him. So who
Yeah,
do you sit?
my dad and I were talking about the same thing. Like, what happens when Gardner Johnson comes back? He's playing really well. Kirby Joseph's playing really well. Like Tracy Walker's not going to see the field, but
No,
like, do you just
you're not going to sit
move-
Branch.
You're not going to sit Branch.
You're not going
But
to
do
put
you
Sutton.
move Branch to the outside and then
No.
put Melifonwu in at like nickel?
I don't think so. So a couple of weeks ago they changed how they were bringing Branch in, and like they were bringing him in as like a matchup piece. Like, we're going to put you on here,
Right.
put you over there. And then a couple of weeks ago, Glenn was basically like, you're just going to play nickel. We're just going to get you comfortable with nickel. So Kirby's a free safety, Branch is your nickel safety, and then you're going to have one of Gardner Johnson or Melifonwu. Or you bring Melifonwu in as like a dime safety or a blitz package guy. Maybe he's your de facto third linebacker. I don't know. But
He makes for some interesting decisions.
if he's gonna play like this, I don't think that he can be on the bench. I would be upset if he was playing like this and then got moved to the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could have asked anything more of him over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, so does Kirby maybe hit the bench?
I don't
At
think
the
that you
same
can
time,
put
for the
Kirby
same
down.
reason,
I mean, like,
he's playing well too. What's he not doing?
Kirby fundamentally does something different than every other safety on the roster.
Yeah.
And because he's your center fielder.
Yeah.
And and I think it showed why Kirby plays in, because of the Minnesota game. He had I'm going to bait the quarterback into these long out routes, and then I'm going to cut under the route and pick it off. And then I'm going to wreck Hawk's ACL and get him out for the year. Take that. So, which of course,
unfortunate.
Every Minnesota Twitter account
injuries.
is like, Kirby Johnson is a dirty player. The Lions are dirty. Of course, we would have won if this hadn't happened. And I'm like, you traded for Hawk, these stupid sons of bitches. You're the one that extended him. So don't call my team dirty just because you guys lost a football game.
Says you play CJ GJ because he's a better player and you get Iffy some reps off the bench in specific looks.
See, if you do that, which they might do, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I agree, you can't just bring Gardner Johnson back and then not play him. I just don't think he's just too good of a player. But if you bring in Melifonwu, and it's just for certain packages, as soon as that dude's on the field, the offense is like, okay, we might as well check the protection over to whatever side Hawk isn't on, because they're going to be blitzing 2 or 3 guys on that side of the line.
Yeah. Well, Hawk is going to be on the bench.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a tell now, not something that could happen any play. Like, I think that's the benefit of having, now maybe Gardner Johnson can do the exact same thing as well as Iffy. The problem is that Iffy's out there doing it right now when it matters.
Yeah.
And like,
I think you slow rotate him in, right?
Well, he can't. I mean, Gardner Johnson just can't go from not playing most of the season to 50 reps.
Yeah.
I mean,
80% of the snaps.
Yeah. So
I will say, like, I know one of the things that happened during the game, I think we caught a huge break on, and that was the fumble, or the what was originally a fumble. Then they said no, his arm was moving forward slightly. And it's an incompletion. That scoop and score. That would have been that would have been a 14 point, because I think we scored a couple plays later, and that would have been a 14-point swing.
Oh, you mean the Nick Mullins fumble?
No, Goff. He got hit right as he was throwing.
Oh, right.
And his hand was going forward like 2 inches. They got the call right. I still think that we got super lucky in that if he was there a 1/10 of a second sooner, that is a fumble and not a forward pass. And we got lucky that he was a 1/10 of a second late to hitting his arm. And I'll take lucky over good sometimes. You need to have some some luck to get through, but I did think we got a little bit lucky there. I'll take it because I'd rather have good luck than bad luck.
When the Lions are on the negative side of calls, I see Facebook and Twitter just blow up at how unfair life is. But I never see when the Lions benefit from calls. I never see the thank you refs.
Yeah.
Because there was that play, there was the Mullins fumble, which they called an incomplete pass, and then there was the roughing the passer on Goff, which I'm sorry.
That he got bumped.
I mean, like, if that was your team, that happened to exactly the way it happened, you are furious.
Yeah.
And it dug them out of 3rd and 16 or whatever. So does anyone think that 3rd and 26 was not a first down? Oh, is that the one where they got it? They were a yard short, went up to and spiked the ball and turned it over? Because that was exactly what happened. I know that line isn't official or whatever, but it's pretty goddamn close.
It was real close.
And I was like,
I'm just like, oh my God, did they just spike it on 4th down?
I yelled at the TV. I got up and I was like, oh my God. It was 4th and 1 and they spiked the ball. It's a turnover. Oh man, yeah. I was so ready to jump all over it. And then they were like, no, it's first down. And I was like, the fuck it is, like.
I thought it was like when they showed the other, when they finally showed like the replay and kind of slowed it down from like the angle of where the first down marker was. I'm like, okay, I think he got there, but I did not think so at real time or at real speed.
Oh no.
I'm just like, oh my God.
I think he just had
the biggest brain fart of all time and just cost the team the game.
I was so ready. But no. Here's what I thought about that 3rd and 26 conversion. And I was like, of course it was. Of course. Yeah. Of course that would happen. That would happen. 3rd and 26. Absolutely. That's some Notre Dame shit right there. Like that is like, hey, we're a Catholic school. Hey, what's up, dude? Where's that angel?
Yeah.
And the angel, thy name is Justin Jefferson. So I mean, like, when the angel's actively playing for you at wideout, it makes it a lot easier. But like, I was so upset. I was like, if this team can knock it off the field on 3rd down on 3rd and 26, I don't care. He has 2 dudes on him. So I was just so furious.
They got that right. I didn't think so at first, but when they did the replay, I'm like, okay, I do believe he got to where he needed to get to. But it was super close. And to Basic's point, no clue how the refs gave him a first down without any measurement. It was real close. It deserved a measurement, I thought. But I also think that if you remember, I don't know, this would have been probably 7-8 years ago now, where we had the near touchdown. And then they reviewed it or whatever, but there was like 8 seconds left. They're like, nope, it's here. And then 10-second runoff, the game ends. I don't know if you remember that. I think they're getting really kind of like, okay, if we do this, the defensive team is going to complain because now the offensive team gets a de facto timeout, which they don't have to use. Stop the clock, get up there, they can get the play call. 2 plays in, like if it doesn't make it, this is what we're going to do. If it does, and that's quote unquote not fair to the defense. And I think they're kind of taking some of those things into consideration when they do that. Like, looked close enough to me, we're going to give it a go, and that way the defense can't be pissed. But I'm at the same time, the defense are the ones that say measure it, because I don't think they got there. Refs can't win, ultimately.
Sure.
They just can't.
So ultimately, I thought the Lions did a good job on the offensive line, picking up the Vikings blitz. And they kept Goff clean, basically, and they did what they did, which was they force-fed St. Brown, moved the ball up and down the field, got in enough times. Good job.
Glasgow had a 93 grade. Glasgow had a 93 grade.
Yeah, I think the top 3 players on offense were all offensive linemen.
Yep.
So
Sewell was number 2 at 82.5, and Ragnow was 3 at 81.5.
Yeah. So line did a great job. the very clear strength of the team. So they, I think it was Sewell that said the other day, like, we got to keep Jared clean good things happen
Yeah.
when we keep Jared clean. And like, when your quarterback, I don't know any quarterback that's better against pressure than they are not pressure.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. But like, some of them are worse against pressure than others. So having your quarterback not be bothered while he's trying to do his job makes a lot of sense. Just makes a lot of sense to me. And when they go out there and they play like a unit and they do a good job of that, it's good things happen. So I was pleased. The Lions did what they need to do in order to win games on Sunday. That is the recipe for them winning games.
Yeah.
Who's the other 1,000-yard receiver?
Laporta.
He's only got like 700.
I think he's the next closest, though.
Yeah, I think St. Brown's got 1,000. Laporta's got 700 plus. And then both of the rushers have I don't think they have. Does either rusher have 800 yards on the season?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there was at one point where I think A6 was right. They were on pace for that, but 2,000-yard receivers and 2,000-yard rushers. I mean, like, that would be cool. Here's the thing about that. Like, there's nothing in the history of the NFL that's like, if you have two 1,000-yard receivers, you're 91% to have 12 wins or whatever, right? It's like saying a team that lines up and uses victory formations never lost a game. No kidding. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Both are over 800 now. Okay, so they each just need 200 yards in the remaining two games. It's a pretty tall hill to climb. It would be cool. I mean, that would be a real cool thing. Here's the thing that I think is different. Here's the thing that I think is different about the Lions rushing attack from like the Stafford era to the one that they're using now, is not that they're getting 100 yards a game, which they're doing a wonderful job of, but like, their running game is effective in changing their down and distance.
Yes.
Like, there are plenty of 3, 4, 5-yard runs. Gibbs has more 20 plus yard runs than anyone else in the NFL this year. Like, I don't care that he's not ripping off like 75-yard touchdowns, but like 20 yards is a lot,
Yeah.
So it's what I don't know if it's my term or not, but like, I just call it like effective running, because like, you're changing the circumstances like on a play-by-play basis that's going to allow you to be successful, like just basically like managing your down and distance, so that's the thing that I think that it's in particular this team really wants to do. Like, this team wants to dink and dunk and go down the field, and then they create explosive running plays somehow. So
this is what we're so in advanced metrics they call it success rate. So sure. For rushing success rate, a successful rush gains at least 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down, and 100% on third or fourth down. So it's basically the percentage that you're actually doing that on those plays. And Monty's up there at 54.4% percent of his rushes are, which by the way is really high.
Yeah.
If I can track down the NFL's the overall, you'll find that it's actually pretty high. And Jahmyr Gibbs is at 47.4, which is still good. I'll track that down. But anyway, to your point, they're calling it successful rushing, and then the receiving is the same thing. 40% on first down, 60% on second, and then reaching first down basically on third or fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And Khalif Raymond's up there, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are like really high-end numbers.
Yeah, and I think that what we're both alluding to here is that they're just being successful at it, right? Like, they're just effectively doing it.
Yeah.
2,000-yard rushes means your offense.
Says,
yeah, I mean, like,
yeah,
there is no better summation of why I don't want to draft a first round running back than this one right here.
Yeah.
So, and we may get into this a little bit later, but like one of the reasons why at the time I was so down on the Gibbs pick was because I was like, you have a great line. Go put someone behind it. Just go put anybody behind it, and you're probably going to be more successful than not. So
this is for rushing. So when we were talking about like where are our guys at in the NFL when it comes to success percentage, Monty's number 8 in the NFL. Jalen Hurts, great that he's a quarterback, and Lamar Jackson, 1st and 6th respectively. Those are some pretty damn good numbers for your quarterback to be getting at least 40% of a first down on first down. Like,
yeah,
basically at least 4 yards on first down.
Yeah,
those are really good numbers.
Yeah, that's where you want to be. You want to be 2nd and 6, and like especially since this team is like, we're going to go for it on 4th down more frequently than a lot of other teams, are going to go for it. So I mean, if you can get 4 yards in any way, shape, or form on first down, like you have three downs to get 6 more yards. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. Was Charbonnet, is he a rookie this year?
He is.
Okay, he was one of the other ones. So he's done really well too. So him and Gibbs are right side by side there at 25-26. And then Monty's up at 8. Like they're killing it.
Yeah, they're doing a real good job. So Minnesota's defense was being really highly touted because like they were blitzing a ton and they were coming. Brian Flores was like really reinventing the defense to like do like these exotic blitzes that are like looked a little bit different than normal, but were super effective. And the Lions did a good job catching, preventing that from being a thing. I thought that was the thing that could have kept the Vikings in the game, is if their defense played extremely well. So the Lions did a good job of taking away that advantage. And because of that, I think that their offense was able to do what it has to do, which is to 90-10 carry this team. So now there are 3 teams. Hey, Hatter's in the house. So now there are 3 teams that top the NFC all at 11-4. Stop it. And all of a sudden,
we're not going to ban you because we like you, but
that's a couple more of those and I might not. So all of a sudden going into Dallas has way more meaning.
Yeah.
Next week. Like the Lions are legitimately playing to try and get the number 1 seed next week, which would be absolutely immense. If they get the number 1 seed and get a bye, I think that you could talk about this team as a potential Super Bowl team, because someone between San Francisco, Philly, and Dallas is getting knocked out.
I think we can talk about us as a potential Super Bowl team no matter what.
I think you gotta.
If you are a top 3 team, win your division and your top 3 in your conference, have a home game. Just getting into the playoffs gives you the opportunity to do that. Like the New York Giants, both of Eli's things, they were the 8th seed or the 7th seed. They just squeaked in. Anything can happen in the playoffs. You are more likely if you're a top 3 seed, right? Like every time you get closer to 1, your odds of winning go up. But like, I think top 3, I think we're serious.
I think those odds look really, really good if you don't have to play one of the games and all the rest of your games are at home.
100%, right?
So I'm going to say that, like, I like where this team is. I don't know that they are the best team in the NFC, or the most well-rounded team, I guess is a better way to say it, in the NFC. But, like, I like their chances of making the Super Bowl a lot more if they get a bye and the rest of their games go through Detroit. So yes. I don't like the idea that you have to play like the potential of someone like LA or Dallas again in the first round of the playoffs, and then have to go on the road in the NFC Championship game. So yeah. Dallas is pissed off, and they are the front runners at home. So they are the front runners at home. They have not played well the last 2 weeks, right? So, but it is at home.
They've been on the road both times, though, right?
Well, that's a big part of it. So
yeah. Like at home, I think I saw that their average margin of victory is like 28.5 or 31.5 or something absurd. They've been just murdering people at their house, which is where we're going to be. But I think the last couple of weeks have shown maybe how you tackle that. Like how do you slow down Dak Prescott? How do you slow down their offense? So hopefully we can figure that shit out.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think the thing about the Dallas is not doing very well right now is playing against the run, and like that's the strength of the Detroit Lions offense. So
Yeah,
I think that if the Lions can run the ball effectively against Dallas, they have a chance. So, but once again, got to get the ball first, can't get behind, can't make mistakes, got to win the turnover battle, all this stuff. So,
yep.
It's all got to line up.
I think we can do it. Let's. Do I do a quick playoff simulation? See what our potential matchups look like. All right.
Yeah, let's do it. I tried this today and could not get it to work. So.
Okay. So week 16's done, right?
Yeah.
So week.
Well,
17,
I mean, there's the Monday night game. No, there isn't.
Okay,
it's today's Tuesday.
I was gonna say that was last night. Baltimore beat the living shit out of San Francisco. All right, so we don't care about that game, but let's pick the Browns. I think LA will beat up on New York. Let's see if we win that game.
Yeah, they have to win out.
Beat the Cards. Baltimore. That's actually be a really good game. Baltimore versus Miami. I think Baltimore's going to do it because they're at home. Tampa Bay versus the Saints. Who are we thinking?
Well, I think Tampa Bay can clinch the division if they win that game, so that's their chance.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Buffalo will beat up on New England.
San Francisco.
I think San Francisco will win there.
Chicago.
You think Chicago?
They're at home.
Does that doesn't? Seattle or Pittsburgh?
I don't know. Pittsburgh's playing so poorly right now. I mean, I don't like that game.
They're in Seattle.
Yeah.
Raiders, Colts.
It's Raiders. They are riding a wave.
The Chiefs, Bengals.
I'm gonna pick the Bengals in this one.
In Arrowhead.
Yeah. I just don't like what I'm seeing out of KC right now. Their wheels are off.
That was one of the worst games I've seen Patrick Mahomes play in a while.
They didn't complete a pass in the second half. It's been like 30 years since that happened. That was insane. Jacksonville has to win that game. Yeah.
Chargers, Broncos. It's not going to matter for us, but I'm kind of curious.
I think it's the Broncos. I'm not going to think Nick Easton is going to beat the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Houston versus Tennessee.
Well, I'm going to say Houston. Even if Stroud isn't back, I'm going to say Houston.
Green Bay over the Vikes.
I don't know. You call this one.
Yeah. I think they just have they're playing a starter. These guys are playing a third stringer. All right, so let's go to week 18. Seattle should beat up on Arizona.
Raiders.
Raiders
are playing real well right now.
Baltimore should beat up on Pittsburgh.
They have to they play each other back to back. No. Never mind. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think they do the same thing that we do, where it's every other. Tampa.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Jets.
Jesus Christ, that's the
Browns.
It's a terrible game.
Yeah, right. It's probably the Thursday night football game because.
Yeah.
Why not?
Prime.
The Saints. I think we're going to beat Minnesota again.
Okay.
Philly should beat the shit out of New York. Green Bay will win. This will be
click on San Francisco for a second. Okay, so this is what needs to happen. Detroit has to go in. Detroit has to win out, and LA has to beat San Francisco for Detroit to get the 1 seed.
God, that would be great because then they're also playing in the first round.
Whew.
Back-to-back games. I would love to see that, to be honest. And LA is playing damn good right now. They ran away with the game again on Thursday. Stafford had another 90
It was
plus.
the Cardinals, right?
No, it was the Saints.
Oh,
They played the Saints, and Stafford had another 90 plus grade back to back. Now 90 grades game. Kyron Williams was tearing it up. Let's do that. Kansas City and probably Dallas. So it really comes down to if we beat Dallas, San Francisco has to lose to LA.
yeah.
If we lose to Dallas,
They can't do it.
we can't do it. We have to win out.
Yeah.
Unless who's Philly play here?
You have to knock Dallas down. So what happens here is that like what the Niners and Dallas both take a loss, and Detroit wins the tiebreaker with the Eagles somehow.
Must be common opponents, maybe.
Maybe in conference games. I don't know what the tiebreaker is for seeding. Can you simulate the playoffs on this?
Not that I know of. Tiebreakers. Win.
Best team win percentage in common games. Yep.
Common games.
There we go. That'd be kind of fun to figure that out. Like only if Philly had beaten the ...
Yeah, exactly.
That's why every game matters, man. That's why every game matters. There's no you can take this week off.
And honestly, I think LA is going to beat San Francisco in this
game.
San
Francisco owns them in the regular season, don't they? I mean, hasn't it been
they
seven
straight? Won like 13 of the last 16 in the regular season.
I mean, it's an upset no matter what at this point. So if they do it, but like that's a legit game. I'm gonna be rooting for LA. Assuming Detroit honestly, can beat Dallas and Dallas.
They need to win out because if they lose that game, they drop out of here. Unless Seattle, where they Cardinals would have to beat them, which I don't see happening, or Pittsburgh would have to beat them, which I think that's a little bit closer to happening. LA just needs to get their shit done, and they're dangerous right now.
Well, I mean, none of this matters if the Lions don't beat Dallas and Dallas.
Correct.
So that's where it all starts. So.
Yep. And I believe, so they lost last game 22-20 to Miami. Miami's a strong team, but I don't mind having a team thinking that they're unstoppable going in and losing, which is, I'm sure, why the Rams were fans who hate San Francisco anyway. That's their big rivalry. They were pretty thrilled to see the Niners lose last night because they don't want... They want them feeling vulnerable and, not invincible, lose some momentum, all that stuff.
Gotcha.
So as a Lions fan, I'm the same way with the Cowboys. Outside of that, I really don't care. I'd like to see them lose just so it helps us.
So, yeah, win out. That makes sense. If they win out, they're what, 13-4?
Yes, projected 13-4 with winning out.
So that'd be awesome. I'd love it. I would super love it.
So what would that? So let's talk about. Let's kind of transition. We talked about the game. We talked a little bit about Dallas. What does the game mean and the division championship mean to the organization? And then what would the first seed mean? Like, that's just yet another thing, right? To kind of stack on to our pride and accomplishments. What is your take on what this means?
So here's my take. So after the win, the Lions team put out like either 4 or 5 minute video on Campbell. A lot of people have been calling it like his nomination for Coach of the Year. And in it, like, he brings the team into their meeting room, has them all stand up, turn around, and on the back wall, it's the last time the Lions did ... And so he has some of the players read out what the last time they did whatever, and
Such a
so the
cool
last
video.
time they won the division, the last time they won a playoff game, the last time they won the league championship, that kind of stuff. And so, like, I think that it means a lot in the building. I think it means a lot in the building. It's the motivation. They're bringing attention to it. They're trying to get, like he said, like, we are building our legacy, so he's right. Like, if, today in his press conference, he said that he and Brad, when they got hired, they thought that they could compete for a division title in year 3. So check, like they, bucket list, they got that done, so they won the division. I would say that's ahead of schedule, right? So, like, here's my question though. Say the Lions get the 1 seed, just for the giggles of it. Let's say they don't play week 1, they get the bye.
Mm-hmm.
They play whomever the second week of the playoffs and lose. They still don't have a playoff win.
It's true.
Since whenever, right? So do you care if they get the bye and then don't win that next game? Or are you going to be like, no, we had the bye.
That we finished one. Like, I think it's a point of pride that you finished first overall in the conference. But it doesn't matter if you don't win.
Right.
Right.
So that's my thing, right? Like, I don't think anybody looks back into the history books and says, if. They look back and they look at wins and they look at what was accomplished. And I think that is Campbell's point, is that you have an opportunity as a team to put your mark on what this team accomplished in a positive way. You're not the 0-16 team. You're not the, 35th team in a row to not win a playoff game or whatever. You are the first team in however long to do so. And like framing that as we're going to be successful, we're planning to be successful. We want you to think like you're going out there to be successful is something that teams that are successful do. So I agree with Hatters that our defense isn't ready yet, but like, what I want from this team has already accomplished everything I could have hoped for this season. Double-digit wins, winning the division, I would have been thrilled. So, cool. Everything out from this, for me personally as a fan, everything from here on out is gravy. And they're, 11-6? They're 11-4 right now?
11-4.
When we did our schedule preview in the preseason, I think that I ended up on 11 wins. So they have a chance.
12. Yeah.
Huh?
Because I think I was a little bit more optimistic on one of the
I think you were.
games.
So like they have an opportunity to beat the best thing that I could have hoped for heading into this season, right? And that's with all the hiccups and road bumps that you don't expect. Who's going to get hurt? What, how the league is going to officiate stuff, yada, yada, all the random bounces and who's going to play well this year, who's going to regress. You don't know any of that stuff. Who's going to get hot, who's the good rookie, who's the bad rookie, for your team and others, so, I think the Lions fans traveling as well as they have this year has played a huge part in the team's success, especially on the road. So, and the team's just been more successful than I thought they were going to be already. Now, if you want to add a playoff win on top of it, then cool. I'm just Twitter-pated about it. So you're muted. You're I can't hear you because you muted yourself.
Yeah. I was coughing and I was typing and I didn't want the click-clack to come through. Anyway, for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, I threw the YouTube video link to the Build Our I make it. Put it in there. Hold on.
It's in there.
Bam. Yeah, I know, but I think when I started typing "Build Our Legacy Now," which is the name of the video, kind of smooshed into the URL. So the second one's the good link. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's really great. It's about 4 minutes, and it was primarily snippets of Campbell's opening day. This is like day one of training camp back in September speech, and kind of interspersed with other like highlights and moments along the way. So definitely, it's a good video. You should definitely check it out. And I'd like to see one of these next year too. I'd love to see a Super Bowl one in about 2 months.
You know, and I think it's good for Detroit that the way that their season is ending is that this next game really matters. Like, and then the game after that really matters. You know, like I don't think that this
games in December and January, right?
You know, yes, right. To quote the quote that got Patricia and what was the dude's name?
Bob Quinn
fired.
Yeah.
You know, and so like someone should write a book about the difference, and that should be the title, like meaningful games in December. And there's Donkey Kong. He's nailed it. His catchphrase has been like that all year, so that's good. But like meaningful games in December, like the turnaround of the Detroit Lions, and it should be like this was the mandate that Matt Patricia and Dan Quinn had. They didn't accomplish it. How did Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, and let's be super straight up about this, Sheila Ford Hamp, accomplish this? You know what? And I was watching his press conference today, Campbell's. Every time that Brad or Sheila or Dan speaks, they get this line in. I was talking to Brad. I was talking to Sheila. We're a team. We're all a team, from ownership, front office, coaching staff, player. We are a team. If you don't have ownership, you're not going to be successful. If you have ownership and you don't have the front office, you're not going to be successful. If you don't have the players and you've got the coach, you're not going to be successful. You need all four, and they've got it.
Yeah.
And like that is the difference. And like it is so, I don't know how everybody feels. They can hear my voice, but like it is so unbelievably refreshing to me to have a team in Detroit where you can say there is continuity of vision from ownership down to the field in our football team. Finally, 100%. I've never had that before.
We've had individual players like, oh my gosh, we could root for Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, Matthew Stafford, right? Like we had individual players that we could really root for, but that we could be proud of. But we never really had the whole thing. We don't get to be proud of the whole team. We don't get to be proud of owners. That's been a thorn in Lions fan side since the Fords bought the team in the 50s or whatever, right? We're real proud of our management and GM. It's been, we had the lost decade of Matt Millen and right? So it's still too soon. It's been 20 years and it's still too soon.
After he got fired from the Lions, he started calling games for the Big Ten Network, and I had to listen to him call Michigan games. And I would sit there for hours being like, this guy's not allowed to talk about football.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what his last job was and someone hired him to do play-by-play for football?
Yeah.
Oh, stop it. I don't want to hear it, Asics. He's just trolling now.
He could be a good dude.
No, he's not.
That doesn't mean he's good at what his job is.
He can't be nice and be that bad at his job. I don't care if you're serious. I don't care. I'll not have it. I will not have it. No 3 wide receivers in the top 5 again. I will not do it. I don't care if he's the nicest guy. Mother Teresa. I don't give a shit. It is a shame that you were driven to hate him so much. I feel the same way, but there we are. This is the world we live in. This is one that you can't like Matt Millen. Sorry. It's just not allowed. What are you looking at?
All right. So one other thing, and I figured this would be an interest. I'm going to see if I can track that post down again.
Sure.
Do we want to talk about hits and misses?
Sure.
I thought that was
I'll
an
talk about
interesting
whatever you want to
conversation.
talk about, Mike.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So there was a post on Facebook that I was checking out just before Drew and I popped in ahead of time, and it was talking about rookie quarterbacks getting taken number 1 overall, and they listed what was a hit or what was a miss. And I am kind of curious. It's hard to do that. Yeah, I agree, headers. So they listed every single quarterback that was taken number 1 overall, and whether they decided that they were a hit, if it was a good pick or a bad pick. And I'm really curious what everybody thinks how would you define whether a number 1 overall pick was a hit or a miss?
Quarterback.
Quarterback, yeah. The number 1, I mean, I'd probably go for anything, but yes, we're specifically talking about quarterback. So what is your definition, Drew? We kind of talked about it a little bit.
So
if you could put more thought into it.
Should we preface this where this information is coming from? I think it's necessary.
It's from a Bears fan group, Chicago Bears, right?
So, okay, so my definition, I don't have a good one, okay, but I would say my definition, if a number 1 quarterback is quote unquote a hit or a miss, is if you offer that guy a second contract. So to me, if you offer a dude a second contract, you're either one of two things. One's optimistic, one's pessimistic. You legitimately believe that you can build around that dude for the future, or you can't admit that you made a mistake because it'll get you fired. So to me, it's one of the two, and I'll choose to go with the optimistic one.
Yeah.
So to me, it's if you drafted a rookie quarterback, number 1 overall, and 4 years later you offer him a second contract, like on the level that we're talking about, like these guys getting now, like in the 250, 260 range.
Right.
That's a hit
because you've quarterback money.
Yeah, you've committed to him financially, right? Like I don't know how you could say he's a miss. I'm going to pay this dude $275 million.
Right.
So
yeah,
I guess that's my board.
My definition allows for quite a bit of wiggle room, right, in interpretation, and that is, did that player do their part in turning the team around, right? So I'll use Matt Stafford, A, because he's one of my favorite players, B, because it's the Lions, right? Mm-hmm. Was he a hit or a miss? I think he was a hit. He did his part. He didn't play defense. He didn't stop our defense from being 32nd in the league for 4 of his 12 years, right? He didn't, draft 3 back-to-back dud wide receivers. I think he did his part. So I think he was a hit. The interesting thing is they listed this as, if you didn't bring your original drafting team to the Super Bowl, then it was a miss. So ASIC says eye test. Kyler Murray, question mark.
Well, I think we're going to go through them.
Yeah, so let's go through some of those. Do you want me to share the screen?
Sure, that's fine. Dude's a future Hall of Famer. Kyler Murray? This is the dude that likes the Cardinals.
No,
right?
I think he's talking about Stafford being a future Hall of Famer.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Then yes.
And I am not going to share the group because
it's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to advertise them. Lousy Bears fans.
There we go.
I don't dislike other teams. I dislike other teams' fans.
All right, so here I'm going to stop the scrolly thing too. All right, so this is what we got. So we got Troy Aikman in 1989. He's listed as a hit. They took him to, they won Super Bowls with him, right? Jeff George, miss. Drew Bledsoe. What would you call Drew?
I say he's a hit. He meets my definition of what happened. He got a huge deal from New England. He got hurt. Tom Brady took his job away. that wasn't on Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe didn't play his way out of being a starter. Oh, Hatters is on my side. Nice job, buddy.
Yep.
So yeah, to me, Drew Bledsoe was a hit. This group is unbelievable though. So
yeah, I agree. He did his part in turning around the team. It wasn't anything that he did wrong that somebody else came in when he got hurt, right? Peyton Manning hit. I'm not sure why they talked about the big debate between Peyton and Ryan Leaf. I do remember that debate.
Well, there's the debate between Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith too. I mean, like,
right?
Shit happens.
1999, Tim Couch.
Miss.
I think everybody's in agreement there. This is one that you and I got stuck on. And I was stuck because I think we both were on the same page. But Mike Vick, 2001, they listed as a miss.
I say he's a hit.
So Hatters, A6, what do you guys think? Hit or miss on Mike Vick?
Michael Vick, hit or miss? Throw it out there. My voice to your fingers, type it.
He did his.
Yeah, all right. A6 is on board. Nice.
Yeah, Hatters. All right.
All right, good.
David Carr,
miss.
2002.
Now, I did say that's not David Carr's fault. I mean, your argument for Matthew Stafford can simply just be applied to David Carr. Now, David Carr's not Matthew Stafford. But as far as the organization doing him any favors, they did David Carr no favors at all.
Yeah. I agree. I would call him a miss, with the slight asterisk of they also didn't do him favors. They didn't set him up for success, but he also didn't do his piece. Carson Palmer, they've got him listed as a miss,
which is bullshit because that's a hit.
I think that's a hit as well. Like, he did his part. Miss due to circumstances. Eli Manning,
he's a hit.
He's a hit. Alex Smith,
he's a hit.
I'm a little mixed on this one. I think he's probably a hit, but I can see this one being argued as a miss as well.
He's like a legit NFL starter for multiple franchises.
Yeah, but he was never like number one overall quality. Like, he was never a stud. He was never.
Well, the 49ers thought so. Now, I mean, like, we shouldn't argue too hard about the 49ers drafted quarterbacks high, but like, that's just it though, right? Is like the statement, like, it only takes one matters in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like, I think Alex Smith was a hit, not because he's like an elite talent. Like, obviously, if you could go back and do it, the 49ers would probably take Aaron Rodgers over Alex Smith, right? Time has proven out Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Alex Smith. However you want to define it. Won Super Bowl, multiple MVPs, doesn't matter. But like, I don't think that Alex Smith, because whether or not he's Aaron Rodgers, was a miss. Like, the dude is like a legit NFL quarterback. Is it what you want out of the number one overall pick? Probably not. But it's a lot harder to get worse at quarterback.
He's a little bit like on the border of like hit versus miss. And I could definitely see people arguing both ways, and they're probably both right. Jamarcus Russell, I do find it funny. He is the only one listed as huge miss.
Huge, terrible.
He was franchise setback bad.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
Matthew Stafford.
Hit.
This blows my mind. Like, I
think
he did everything he needed to do, right? A6,
like,
what do you think about Matthew Stafford? Was he a miss?
Like, I mean, like, you want to tell me that 5 years into Matthew Stafford's career, the Bears would have been like, hey, we'll trade you Rex Grossman for Matt Stafford? Fuck you. Of course they would have.
Yeah. And this is where, like, the whole, if you didn't take your original drafting team to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, you're a miss. That is kind of bullshit, right?
It's like, that's like once every 5 to 10 years, something like that happens.
Sam Bradford.
Miss.
Cam Newton.
Hit.
Andrew Luck.
Hit.
He's a miss because he didn't take the Colts to the promised land. I'm like, that's bullshit. Like,
Andrew
I'm not a huge
Luck
fan. I think he was a little bit overrated, but he was still damn good.
Andrew Luck at that point was the best NFL quarterback prospect to come out since like John Elway. And now, did he live up to Elway? No. I mean, so few people do.
Right.
But like, considering that guy just went through like a myriad of injuries and like was having like the mental health shit that he was going through at the time, like I'm surprised he was able to play football, to be honest. Like I would have, if you'd have asked me, would you have wanted Andrew Luck to be your quarterback? I would have said yes.
And I would say 31 other teams wish they had him on. Maybe not 31.
Yeah, lots of them. The overwhelming majority of teams would have rather had Andrew Luck than their quarterback.
Yes.
Sure.
And to me, that's kind of one of those things about like, are they doing their part? Part of that is like, would most other teams also want that person? Because if so, they were a good pick.
Right.
Jameis Winston.
Miss.
Jared Goff.
This is the only guy on this list that I'm like, it's a hit, but like, I don't want to say it's a hit.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know why. Like, to me, when I look at this list, I think that most of the quarterbacks that I would have said are hits have like some definable elite talent. Now, Eli, maybe not. Alex Smith, maybe not. Right? But, okay, like, yes.
Goff is a bigger than Alex Smith. Yeah.
Okay. So, but like, there are guys that I'm like, these are hits that I'm like, you don't have a definable elite talent.
Yeah.
So
he did his job, right? He
right.
They drafted him. He came in. He did everything that was expected of him.
They gave him a second contract.
To your part. I think that he was a hit, even if he wasn't their forever franchise.
Lincoln Riley, right? QB? Come on.
I have no idea what they mean by this.
So they just must not.
Lincoln Riley.
So here's why they added that, right? Bears are sitting with the Carolinas pick at number 1.
Okay.
This guy doesn't want to. I'll bet you anything that the dude that put this up, if you looked hard enough, does not want Caleb Williams. Right. Look at 2024.
Yeah.
So this guy is making the argument that Lincoln Riley QBs don't hit in the NFL, which is bullshit. Because there's multiple Lincoln Riley QBs in the NFL right now that are starting for NFL teams. One went to the Super Bowl last year. So like
Lincoln Riley,
he's the coach of USC.
Oh, okay.
He was the coach at Oklahoma.
I didn't even know the name. I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah, he's Caleb Williams' coach.
Okay.
And this dude doesn't want them to draft Caleb Williams. That's why he's put that shit on there.
Yeah. Well, it's a Bears site. He's probably a Fields fan, which I think.
Why? What is it about Caleb Williams that people find polarizing? I don't get it. Like, if you go back to his junior tape, the dude is lights out the best player in college football. Like, that's in him.
Yeah.
Like, he has every trait you would want in a modern day NFL QB. I have no idea why people don't like Caleb Williams. I just don't get it. Like, do I think that he's going to be the next Joe Montana or Tom Brady? No. Do I think that he has the traits necessary to become one of those guys? 100% I do.
Yeah.
Does he get in the right situation? Like, that's it. He doesn't like many college QBs, to be honest.
Yeah. Kyler Murray.
He's a hit. He's a hit.
He's another one of those that I'm a little waffly on.
Baker was a hit too.
Hit. Oh yeah, wait, skip Baker. I don't think Baker was a hit. I just don't think that he did the thing that, like, he didn't come in and play at an elite level, and he's essentially been a journeyman, which is why I think even Alex Smith is on that, like, waffle, like, hit or miss. Although I lean toward hit on Alex Smith, I lean toward miss on Baker Mayfield. And Kyler Murray, also I lean toward miss. He had a couple good seasons.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, if the Bucks offer what's his name, Baker Mayfield, a 3-year deal this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 3 years, 25 a year.
Right.
Just for numbers. Is he a journeyman then?
Yes.
Because he would have been cut by one team, played 3 games or something for a second team, and then signed with a team that re-signed him, who he will have played 4 years with in the NFL. Like, that's a journeyman?
I don't know. Maybe I just think of that as he's journeyman quality. He's
Baker
not
and
elite.
Kyler are not hits.
He's not a top 12, top 16 quarterback, and I think that when you draft someone number 1 overall, they need to be a top 12, top 16, which
He
why
played for 3 teams last year. He played for the Browns, and he played for the Rams. Who am I forgetting?
Was Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, so Hatters has a good point here. Baker led the Browns to a playoff win.
It's true.
Can't be discounted.
He played for the Panthers.
Carolina, right? I'm forgetting Carolina. Thank you, A6.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the list here because there's another conversation I want to have.
So Kyler Murray.
He's a hit.
Okay. I think I lean toward the miss on Kyler Murray as well. I just don't think he's.
You don't like the style of quarterback that Kyler Murray is.
No, I think that's fine. Like Mahomes is that style. I think Joe Burrow's kind of that style. Both of them are elite. I don't know. He hasn't done elite stuff for me yet. It's early in his career. He's only been in the league for 4 years, so he's got time. Joe Burrow.
He's a hit.
I think he's a hit. And now we're getting into all right, Trevor Lawrence has only been in the league
too
for
early.
2 years.
This is
right?
too
It's
early.
too early to tell. But to say miss because he hasn't done it in 2 years
and Trevor Lawrence is a hit. Fuck you. If you were the Bears, you wouldn't have drafted Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Bryce Young, it's his first year on the worst
has not
team in
gone
football.
well, right? Has not gone well.
Yeah, but it's also the worst team in football.
They are terrible.
Yeah.
They are legitimately awful.
It is too early to find out, or to say that he didn't do his part, because it's still 16 games into his rookie year. So anyway, I found this interesting. I thought it would be an interesting exercise to talk about, these guys hits or misses and why?
I'll make a bet with you right now. Not with you, but you can be the arbiter of this bet.
Okay.
I will bet you that if the Bears trade out of number 1 and some team moves up to draft Caleb Williams, that team wins a Super Bowl before the Bears do.
I think it would depend on the team.
Sure.
The Bears they're building they started.
I'm giving you the other 31.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the other 31 teams in the NFL. No, I'm not. That's not true. But who I'm giving you, so here's the way I'm giving you the other 31, because it could be any one of the other 31 teams, right? It's probably not all 31 of them, but it's probably 20 of them.
Yeah.
You know? Well, A6 makes a point here, because if it was Mahomes on the Bears, I'd still take the field. You should always take the field. There's nothing ever that is worth taking one team.
Shot, right?
If anybody ever offers me the field, I bet on the field, because it's there's 95% chance it's that thing. So yeah, Hatters is the Bears will never win a Super Bowl, so you automatically win. Yeah, ching ching ching. He gets it. Nice job, Hatters.
Yeah. All right, so
the only time
talk about this.
We have time. The only time I ever thought about taking anyone against the field was Tiger Woods when he was at his prime. He was the only guy that I was like, this dude just seems completely unstoppable. Maybe Serena Williams, but we're talking about the greatest individual athletes in individual sports in the history of sports. Yeah. So
and to be honest, Tiger Woods he was a one of one.
Oh, right? God.
I think the only person you can even remotely compare him to is Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky.
In dominance.
Amazing. I remember once I was watching, I don't know, the Masters or something, and they're on the tee box. Tiger isn't even up and addressing the ball, and he takes his club, and the ball's on the tee. And he takes his club, and he taps the ball twice with his club, with his driver, and the ball stays on the tee. And I was like, oh, shit, oh, what? And it was just tap, tap. And it was just I'm Tiger Woods. I can do that. I couldn't do that if you gave me 100 tries, And I was just oh, this guy's tap, tap, walks up, knocks it 300 yards or whatever. It's crazy. No, he didn't.
He changed the game.
Yeah. They started designing courses differently for him, didn't they?
Yeah, because 21-year-old rookie. He led the PGA in distance, like driving distance, and he was. I'm actually listening to an audiobook biography on him, and it's just the numbers, the metrics, and like what he did compared to literally everybody else in the world at the time was just being unreal.
Yeah.
So what else did you want to chat about?
So there was the Gibbs, Laporta, Carter debate.
Oh, yeah. By the way, A6, Tiger Woods has 79 wins in 324 events for a 24.2% winning percentage.
Best all time. Yeah.
Number 2 is Phil Mickelson at 7.75%.
He's got 3 times his win rate. That's crazy. So I'm going to be fair to everybody just real quick, okay? The next conversation is Gibbs and Laporta versus Jalen Carter and X or whatever. So if you are tired of hearing me talk about that, this is your opportunity to save some time in your lives.
Yeah.
If you want to stay around and hear me,
interesting conversation because it might be theory crafting.
It might be a lot.
You don't know, you can't go back.
So, but here we're gonna really deep dive it because someone got after me online, which I love. So
I'm about to argue it. All right, let's do it. All right, so I guess let's preface it with what the conversation was.
Sure.
In that particular discussion, I believe the comment was, "Hey, do the Lions make the playoffs / win the division if they draft Jalen Carter over Jahmyr Gibbs?"
That is,
you said
word
yes.
for word. Yep.
Yeah, right. So yes, we would absolutely win the division with Jalen Carter over Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
The interesting thing to me is not like, so there's a lot that goes into this alternate reality if we did something different than Jahmyr Gibbs. Part of it is if we took Carter, he wasn't there at 12, right? So the only way we could take Carter is if we take him at 6. If we take him at 6, the other trade, the other assets that we get, we don't end up with Laporta, yada, yada, yada. So, like, there's a lot of butterfly effect with this discussion. So we'll kind of preface it there. So whether it's Carter or literally anybody else other than Gibbs, right? Gonzalez was available. Joey Porter was available. We need cornerback help, right? So it could be Carter. It could be one of those other guys. That's kind of, I want to preface kind of like that thought process, and then I'll let you kind of take over what your kind of response was. And
my response was yes, we would make the playoffs if Jalen Carter was on this team and not Jahmyr in the place of Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'll preface this again. I don't dislike Gibbs. He's been real good. He's better than I thought he was going to be. I did not like the pick. Why? Because the history of running backs taken in the first round is a fucking minefield, and it's proven to be bad value in the long run, which I didn't enjoy. And Jalen Carter was the best player in last year's draft, in my opinion. And he was available at 6. Okay. So whoever put up the post did not include Sam Laporta in the post. So if you're going to make the argument that you can't have Gibbs without Laporta, sure. That wasn't what was prefaced to me. But I'll take on the argument anyways. So the Lions trade number 6 for 12, 34 or something, and 168, which is the Gibbs pick, the Laporta pick, and I think a pick that got traded for Broderick Martin. And Gibbs has been, to A6 point earlier in the chat, 800 yards. I made the point that he's had more 20-plus yard runs in the NFL than anybody else this year. That has value. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't have value to the offense. But to me, watching this team all year, is the following. This team cannot win football games if the offense is not near perfect. The offense has to be nearly perfect. And even though the defense went from 30 to the low teens,
We were
18,
32.
19th, whatever. Huh?
We were 32, not 30.
Whatever. When it went from being completely terrible
Story
to
of that.
not as terrible,
Yeah.
this team, if anybody who watches them, when some other team scores first and the Lions have to come from behind, they can't do it because they can't get stops. And when this team is going to give up more than the league average of points in a game, which means and this is true of every NFL team, you have to score more points than your opponent. So lots of fan bases want there to be like, well, let's score the league average and we'll prevent our opponent from scoring the league average, and then you'll win games. And that's true, but that's not how this team is constructed. So this team is constructed to be 90% offense, 10% defense. And that's just not having any defense at all, basically, as far as I'm concerned. So Aiden Hutchinson is my favorite player on this team. I also think he's the best player on this defense, and I don't think it's close. So I have been an advocate of getting him some help since they drafted him in the same draft. I was like, go get another edge player. So they didn't do it. So then last year's draft comes up. Jalen Carter, at a position of need, arguably the best player in the draft, falls to your spot when he shouldn't have. And instead of that, you trade out. So,
For anybody that
what
wants
is this?
To see this is the trades for that year. Like, who got what?
So you were like, let's just make Drew super unhappy. So the Lions used the original Jimmy Johnson trade chart, right? So that is confirmed. There is no speculation about that. The Lions used the original Jimmy Johnson trade chart, which means they are not getting any value off their picks. They are trying to make trades on a 1-for-1 value on their picks, which to me is I just hate it. I just can't stand it. So when they made these picks, what they were basically saying is, we want equivalent value for our trades, but we are going to take lesser value and just more of it, which makes me sick, And so like, it has been my opinion that the Lions have done a good job of drafting culture guys for the first 3 years that Brad Holmes has been on this team. And I think you can throw Gibbs and Laporta into that basket as well. You will not continually make deep playoff runs unless you add elite talent to this roster. You've got to add talent. I don't think you can just continually add non-elite talent that are culture guys continuously and compete with the better constructed rosters in the NFL. So that was my grump fest about the draft. I think they got super fortunate that Brian Branch was still on the board in round 2.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody needs to get a little lucky. That was their luck with the draft last year. My opinion is, if you take Gibbs off of this roster, you still have David Montgomery.
And in this scenario, we have Swift.
Right. So we have DeAndre Swift,
we only got Swift because he said, "Oh, you drafted Gibbs, trade me," and we did.
Right. For like
he's been phenomenal.
5th round pick 3 years from now.
Yeah, and he's been phenomenal this year. He has got the 5th most yards. Like, he is the bell cow for a top 3 team in the NFC. So like,
there has been no drop off.
Better A6? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It's a lateral move, but we also gave up the opportunity to take an important position at 12. So like, even if we did make the trade and we didn't take Carter, and we still ended up with 12, 34, and 168, which he eventually traded away, like, taking Jahmyr Gibbs here is still a lateral move with the opportunity of cost of, we don't get to take Joey Porter or we don't get to take Christian Gonzalez, both of which are positions of dire need. So I don't like the fact that we're basically not doing anything because Swift and Jahmyr Gibbs are very similar players. They have a similar skill set, similar role. So like you're trading one guy for another, and Swift was still on his rookie deal, so we still had, I think, only one more year left on it. But like we still had a rookie in that role. That's a lateral skill set move, role move, and we lose out on Christian Gonzalez, who is the third best graded rookie cornerback. And actually, he's the first once you start filtering for people that have only had like 12 snaps. But
right. So, in my opinion, if you take Jalen Carter and put him where Isaiah Buggs or Benito Jones has been playing, and you have someone next to Aleem McNeil who, I don't care what team you're playing for, if you don't account for Jalen Carter on every play, you're gonna get destroyed. Like whether that's in college, whether that's in the NFL, like he is a player that is going to command attention of more than one other player. You already have a guy like that in Aiden Hutchinson. Now you have two of them, which means in the worst case scenario, Aleem McNeil is getting one-on-ones every snap that those two guys are on the field together. So I think the run defense would have improved. Run defense has been good this year. But where I think you would have seen the major difference is in turning pressures into sacks, because Aiden and McNeil would have had help to do so. Aiden has 87 pressures. The next highest guy on the team is McNeil with like 33. So the rotation at edge around the opposite of Aiden Hutchinson has been just terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 33.
On the field at the same time? Number 6.
Yeah, that would just be, look at that. I mean, like, that would just be great. You know, and like, what is his snap count? 491. Like, McNeil has missed games and still has 529. Like, I'm not saying that Jalen Carter is a 50 snap a game dude, but like, there are packages that you're going to be out there where it's like, this is really, really, really potent.
And their defensive line is so good. You're not going to get 700 snaps because you're going to rotate, you're going to stay healthy, you're going to stay fresh. They have the luxury of not having to have 700 snaps.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, do me a favor. Will you look up the definition of a hurry?
Hurry.
There it is.
When the passer is hurried by the defender.
I hate that. That is terrible. Michael, will you do me a favor? Will you Google the definition of a hurry, please? So,
QB.
So, I think the thing that has killed the Lions all year is that their pass defense can just not stop anybody.
Any game in which a quarterback is forced to throw the ball due to a defender's pressure.
So, like, for example, like you're flushed out of the pocket and you have to get rid of the ball or take the sack. Like, that's a hurry.
Yeah.
So, I think the point is here is A6 is that a hurry is a lot like saying passer rating. Just kind of a bullshit stat with a weird definition. That doesn't, like, to me, a pressure, and I think this is the actual definition, is when you force the quarterback to do something that they weren't planning to do. Right? You have to maybe you have to throw the ball a hitch before you wanted to, or you have to check down to somebody, or you have to change the arm angle of a throw or something like that. Something that makes the quarterback's job more difficult. So I don't know how that compares to a hurry, but I don't care about hurries. I care about pressures. So, and Hutch is good at pressures. And that's my point, is that Aiden Hutchinson is your best defensive player. You need to support your best defensive player. You should have added the best player in the draft that year, which to me was Jalen Carter, at a position that the Lions needed to address in the offseason and didn't. And I didn't like the value that they got off the trade down. I didn't like the fact that they took the running back, because historically, that's a poor investment. Here's how you make it not a bad investment, right? Is if you hit on the player, which it looks like they did. Okay? It doesn't change the fact that historically that doesn't work out. For them, in this one instance, it worked out, or it has so far. So good. That's how you mitigate the badness. but like you started off more bad than good. And like as Mike said, at a position that I felt was already covered and redundant and not as important. So I had a lot of problems with it. So let's add in Laporta, right? So what would I have done in the first round? Here's what I would have done. I would have gone. Drew doesn't make the Cardinals trade. Drew drafts Jalen Carter at 6, and he drafts Brian Branch at 18. That's what I would have done. I was super high on Branch. I was hoping that he was going to. I wasn't sure he was going to make it till 18. He ended up going at 45. I was completely shocked.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, I would have gone, without the Cardinals trade, I would have simply just gone Carter, Joey Porter, Branch is what I would have done. Now, is that giving up a lot on the offense? Yup. But if you're going to do that, you can't complain about the defense, in my opinion. Did they make improvements to the defense? Sure. They signed Sutton. They signed Gardner Johnson. They took a shot with Emmanuel Mosley. But, don't even talk to me about Emmanuel Mosley. The dude played 4 snaps. He's a non-factor to this team. He's never done anything to help them. So, it's like he never played for them. They're starting Kindle Vilder opposite Sutton.
You got the name right this time, too.
Thanks.
Try.
Appreciate that. Had another week of practice. So it does turn out that Jerry Jeudy got hurt. He was demoted, hurt his hamstring in the game last week, and then played on special teams for a while, I think this week. But they're all in on offense. So,
to be honest, even if we didn't take Carter, because a guy like Tyree Wilson was available, right? Or Luke Van Ness. If we wanted to do a line type of thing. And neither of those have been real standout dudes as far as that goes. Hell, we could have hit on Kobe Turner, stolen him from LA. He's playing really well.
In this year, unless you're in the top 15 picks, there's just no edge prospect that's ooh. It's just not a year for edges. So, you don't know what the draft is going to look like. You don't know what free agency is going to look like year to year. So you have to take those opportunities when they're presented to you, and they didn't. So, and here's the other thing. Gibbs and Laporta have been given insane workloads.
Well, Laporta has. Gibbs has been splitting time.
Well, Gibbs has, how many carries does Gibbs have this year? And he has 50 catches.
You keep talking while I track it down.
So, Laporta is on pace to have the second or third most targets by a tight end in a rookie season in the history of the NFL. Jeremy Shockey leads the way with 127. Laporta hit 100 this last week. So if he averages 5 or 6 targets over the next 2 games, he's going to be the third highest targeted rookie tight end in the history of the NFL. If you take any rookie tight end and give him 112 targets, the dude is going to produce stats. So Laporta has been great. I'm super happy that he's on the team, and it looks like he's absolutely going validated this high second round pick. But I also don't think that if you had taken a 5th round guy, if you'd given Brock Wright this amount of work, I think that he would produce comparable stats. It's just so much workload.
I don't think Brock Wright's gonna do what Laporta does.
Really? I saw the motherfucker rip off a 50-yard touchdown against the Jets 2 years ago. He's capable of a lot of stuff.
You're talking about the 53-yard touchdown pass by Goff?
Yeah, the 4-yard in the air, the 53-yard touchdown
3-yard,
pass. Yes.
Yeah. Three intended air yards and 50-yard scamper afterwards.
That's the one.
I don't think he runs the routes as well. I don't think he catches the ball. Sam Laporta is a little bit like Amon-Ra St. Brown, where like the ball hits him in the hands, it's a catch. And I don't
Sure.
think Brock Wright has that. I don't think he has the athletic ability of a Laporta.
How about this? Let's throw the ball to him 112 times in a season and see where he gets to. Because that's my point.
I don't want to. Like I don't think he's that. I don't think he's good enough to do that.
When they drafted Sam Laporta, you were like, let's throw the ball to him 112 times because this is a guy that can do that.
No, but I thought he was far more capable than Brock Wright.
Sure. So, like, my point is they invested premium picks to do that thing and then gave them a shit ton of work. So why are we surprised that they are producing like this? I mean, like, Laporta and St. Brown get so much work that Jameson Williams is just sitting over there being like, I can make plays too. Throw me the ball. I mean, like, he had another great effort play to get a first down this week. You know, yes. Like, and there's just not enough
shake and bake.
Yeah. I mean, like, they might be running 70 plays a week on offense, and there's still not enough to go around to get JMO involved in the offense. So, like, at this point, does it matter if JMO's on the team or if, like, the other wide receiver position currently occupied by player X is even out there? Because this entire offense is Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery, and, like, human body. So, like, who cares? But, like, if you're going to give that workload, then those guys have to produce like 1.5 players at their positions. And they're doing that. So congrats. But, like, I would have rather made this team a more complete roster than to say, like, we are just going to force feed 2 guys on offense. Which is completely what they've done this year.
Finally found Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sure.
He has 186 snaps.
No, this year.
So
there's no way it's that
good
way.
For 30th in the NFL.
I'm looking at his stats right now. He's got 154 carries and 65 targets. That's 209 snaps right there. You can't run the ball and catch the ball.
Those are rushing snaps.
Rushing snaps.
All snaps. Yeah.
Okay. So, because I've got him down for 154 carries. So they must have had him out there for 30 snaps or he didn't rush the ball.
Correct. All right, so hold on a second. Well, I will show you what I'm looking at. So this is probably PFF, a good idea. Rushing grades, total snaps, attempts. So
well, look who's third on the list.
86 total snaps and then 154 carries.
Okay.
So 32 non rushes, I'm assuming.
Cool.
And DeAndre Swift is 100 more.
Yeah.
So over 60% more snaps.
Right. So, I mean, like, you had that guy that can do this workload on the team last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you have had to pay him? Yeah. Would you have had to pay him much? No, I don't think so. Are you getting a deal with Gibbs on his rookie deal? Yeah. Did you overdraft and are paying him more as the 12th overall pick? Yeah. So I think that you're paying too much for his position at this point in his career. And that's not where you want to be, because we're heading into like extension era for the Brad Holmes draft picks. And, like, if you're going to give Laporta and Gibbs this kind of workload and they do that through their rookie contracts, you're going to have to pay them top of the market money at their positions too. You're going to tell me that, you know, year 4 of Laporta, Brad Holmes is not going to extend this guy if he's getting 112 targets, 5 to 10 touchdowns, and he's got, what, 70-something catches? I mean, it's just no way.
Okay. Yeah. To me, the biggest disappointment, disappointing draft pick, like, like you said, if he hits, if he stays healthy, and does his thing, I think Gibbs will end up being a good draft choice. he's starting out really well. Like he's already started down that path. To me, the biggest disappointment has been Jack Campbell
It's
as
just
a
terrible.
draft pick. He is 124th best graded linebacker in the NFL, and just in the rookie class, he is 8th. Noah Sewell is number 2.
That seems crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been, to me, he was the biggest disappointment. Like, I was not happy with that. Linebackers are kind of a dime a dozen. They're low value. They're easy to find in the free agency to have equivalent effect at low price. And that also could have been a Joey Porter pick. Like, what would have benefited our team better this year? Joey Porter at 18th or Jack Campbell?
That's not even like. I mean, I have a hard time. I had a hard time with Campbell at 18, but he just, man, I mean, he exudes the kind of player that I think that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell like.
Yes. He's
And
their guy, right? He's
correct.
Does the things that they want. He's a football guy and yada yada. But I just, I'm curious about Asics. He said I don't like the Campbell pick, but I will say I don't think it's lack of snaps and production is all on him.
Right.
I think it has to.
Correct.
To be on him, right?
It's on no one else.
You put the best players, the people that are doing best in, and get the snaps.
I don't think that's the case, though. So you're telling me.
Should be.
Well, I mean, I do think that's how Campbell runs the team, right? And I mean, Kelvin Shepherd does not look like a guy that I want to fuck around with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, after he cussed out the entire linebacker room on Hard Knocks, and it was like, hey, Rodriguez is the only motherfucker here that's like doing anything of note. But like, Anzalone's playing the best football of his entire career this year. Barnes has played his way in some quantity onto the field, right? When he was a special teamer the first 2 years. Rodriguez, who had, I thought, a really good first half of the season last year, and then not a great half of the second half of the season last year.
Yeah, he had a kind of a rookie wall.
Right. But like, when I watched the Minnesota game, I don't remember a play where I was like, look at Jack Campbell out there making plays. Like, he didn't fill a gap and hit a running back. Like, he didn't stop anyone in the passing game. Like, he had a decent PFF score. But like, I saw Rodrigo come up and hit 2 dudes coming right down his gap.
Yeah.
And I see
like
a
the
guard.
One time that I thought, I'm like, oh, that's a great play by Campbell.
Yeah,
Turns out it was
oh,
Rodrigo.
no, it's 44, not 46.
I saw the 4, and I'm like, oh, that was a nice play by Campbell. And I'm like, oh, shit, no, it was Rodrigo. Hell of a job there, Rod.
So, like, I see a guard locking up Campbell and him not being able to get off the block too often.
Yeah.
So, going into next year, that's one of my storylines, like, that I'm going to be, like, paying attention to. Like, does Jack Campbell take a step? Because that's, you got to have it. So, here's the thing that I am worried about on our show is that I like Laporta. Like, when he catches the ball, I'm happy. Like, when Jahmyr Gibbs rips off a 20-yard run, like, I'm thrilled. Like, and I like the way that he runs. Like, I didn't watch him in college, and like, I like the way that he runs. But I also disagreed with drafting both of those players. I wanted them to draft Michael Mayer from Notre Dame with the 34th pick, and he wasn't even the tight end I would have drafted at that pick.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I don't know if it's just a matter of like scouting showed that he was a better fit for our system, but like Michael Mayer is not,
he's not blowing anyone's, he's not like, ooh, like this kid or Laporta. No, it's not even close. But like, once again, if you gave Michael Mayer 100 targets, I wonder what his stats look like, because he's not getting 100 targets.
Yeah, he's got 37 targets on the year.
Right. So there's that.
Is that because Las Vegas blows?
I mean, they're
right.
They're not
got 100 targets, 74 receptions, and is the number 1 graded tight end as a rookie.
Yeah, makes sense.
These are
He's the
rookies,
top
by the way.
He's a top 3 tight end in the NFL.
Yeah. And Michael Mayer is way down here at 9th. In the rookie class, he's the 9th best graded rookie class tight end. Now, granted, you got guys like, I don't even know who Ben Sims is, but if we were to filter out for...
I'll tell you who he is. It's a dude that's getting work.
I mean,
he's not
targets.
out there. Well, I mean, like Ben Sims, like that's targets. Like I'm betting he's a blocking tight end.
I would assume so.
Yeah. But like my thing is I don't know how Gibbs and Laporta could have been failures if they're going to given this opportunity. Do they have to make something out of it? Yeah. I mean, like Gibbs has not been perfect. He's also not been, I wouldn't call him the offensive weapon that Brad Holmes dubbed him as after the draft.
He's no different than Swift, other than he is the Swift that we wanted, which is a healthy version.
Right? He's the one. What is that from The Dark Knight? Like he's the running back we wanted, but not the one that we deserve right now, or something like that.
Yeah, something.
I don't remember what the quote is, but like
he's basically a healthy version of Swift. Who, by the way, is healthy this year.
Right.
And getting more carries. So like I think it comes back to a little bit like Stafford, right? He was hurt a couple times his rookie year, and everything. Oh, he's fragile, and then he rips off like 9 straight years of never missing a snap, and like, oh well, maybe it was kind of fluky, and people thought, well, Swift is hurt all the time, you can't say, and I was one of those, right? Like it was frustrating that he wasn't staying healthy, but I don't necessarily think that meant that he was never going to stay healthy. And this is just kind of that same kind of thing playing out again.
So someone, I don't remember who I listened to so many podcasts, it was probably on The Athletic, but like they said the way to make good on a draft pick is that you hit on the guy, right? And if you hit on the guy, their position matters so much less for like positional value, right? So the issue with that debate, like the positional value versus like he's a culture fit, or he's an offensive weapon, or he's this guy's kind of player, is I think the assumption is always that you're not gonna hit on the guy because so few draft picks hit. It's like, and that's the thing about Brad Holmes that he's been able to do like way ahead of everybody else, is that like he hits on a higher percentage of players than most other GMs through so far. And so to me, like you mitigate the risk by saying, all right, well, if we're going to miss on a guy, we want to take shots at that guy hitting where we invest the most money. Right? Positional value. But these guys are working for tuppence, as they say in like Britain or whatever, right? So I mean, like, it's hilarious what they're making as rookies and producing like this. Like, you're getting your Gibbs and Laporta are absolutely earning every dollar they get paid this year. But my problem is that like, because you drafted guys at these positions and are force feeding them this much, they're in line for top of the position group contracts when they get their second deal. And how do you not give it to them? So that's my problem.
Yeah.
Is that you set yourself up to pay top dollar.
You want the biggest bonus out of the hit. And the bonus of Gibbs over Swift is there's not a lot of like excess.
So Brock Purdy makes $900,000 this year. He absolutely can. Yeah. That I don't know. If you're going to say a Christmas present is a Lamborghini, then sure, he can't. If a Christmas present is a fucking watch, that dude could buy a stadium of watches. So like he can buy.
I was able to buy Christmas presents, and I don't make almost $1 million.
I don't make $900,000 a year. I was able to get Christmas presents. It doesn't take, $150,000 in order to show someone that you appreciate them.
Yeah.
It's just that was
I
so
do that by
stupid.
buying donuts every so often, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know what he could do? And I thought, like, when Tom Brady was at the height of his fame, like he did this, is that like when he was getting commercials, he was like, you need to put my lineman in the commercials too. He can do
That's
shit like
cool.
that. I'm sure Brock Purdy in like the local San Francisco Bay Area is getting advertising opportunities. So that kind of stuff. And like San Francisco is like one of the most expensive places in the country to live. So I mean, there's that. So I don't know what he's paying to just live, but I promise you, he didn't graduate college, get picked last in the draft, and then go out and buy the biggest house in San Fran. So
If he did, that's the wrong way
real,
to start.
yeah, real tough. I was like, I've got a feeling that Sam Darnold's going to lose the job. They're going to trade Trey Lance, and I'm going to work out the opportunity. So
it's just going to happen.
So we'll see how the Lions finish up. I want them. So I will say, I'm gonna toot my own horn here for just a second. We got people watching still. So like a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the last 5 games of the Lions schedule, and there were some pretty pessimistic attitudes in here because they were coming off that really bad month and didn't look good. Had the 9 turnovers in 4 weeks and that kind of stuff. And I looked at the schedule and I was like, Las Vegas, Denver, Minnesota twice, Dallas. I just think that we're better than these teams. We haven't lost since. That's all I'm gonna say. Like we're 3 in a row since that. So we're fine. We win out. It's an absolute fucking home run. Whatever. Shut up.
It's 2 in a row.
We
lost to the Bears, then we beat Denver, we beat Minnesota.
Was Las Vegas before Chicago?
Las Vegas was week 8.
Oh, I'm thinking, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we went Chicago. We should have lost, but won.
Mm-hmm.
We then lost on Thanksgiving to Green Bay. Should have won. We beat the Saints in a squeaker that should have been a blowout. Lost to Chicago in a blowout, and then we came back and said, all right, we need to make some changes here, boys. We need to actually put these teams away, and then embarrassed the Broncos, which was pretty great to see. But at that point, for me, I'm just like even that game, I think we can win. I think we should win. I think we're better than them. Could we also lose? Yeah, we can. Then we come out and we blew that team out. And then I'm thinking the same thing with the Minnesota. Like, we're better than them, and we just blew out Denver. But I remember Thanksgiving 2 weeks ago where we should have beaten the Bears, we should have beaten the Bears a couple weeks ago. I remember Thanksgiving, like, it hasn't been solid. Was last week a fluke, or are we like just back? So I'm like, I think we should win by 10 against Minnesota. But I think we could also have the possibility of losing by 10. Like, it's somewhere in that range. Was kind of like, I just don't know which team's going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, that's
more consistent now. So, Dallas, what is your prognostication for Dallas in Dallas?
I'm still not super hopeful, but Dallas not playing well, even if it's on the road, has given me some hope here. And I think the thing that Dallas is not currently doing well, which is defending the run, gives the Lions a path to beating them, which is establish the run, use play action or whatever to get the passing game going, get the ball first, score more points. That's it. It's difficult to pull off. Oh, I don't think that matters.
I think it does, because the fewer times you give a good offense the ball, the fewer times we have to stop them from scoring.
That applies to us as well, though.
It does. But I think our offense is more capable of scoring than our defense is of stopping them.
It's interesting.
Right. But yeah, I think this could be anywhere from a blowout loss to, I don't know, maybe we could win by 10? I don't think so.
I don't give a shit if it's that. I mean, Hatters hit the nail on the head here. is that I think that the way that this happens is you get out in front, you run the ball, you get a lead, and you force Dallas into a position where they have to become more one-dimensional. And once that happens, that's when the time where you can have the opportunity for turnovers goes up. You're able to predict what they're trying to do, like you alluded to earlier. Players in the right position, doing the right things at the right time. And Dallas has been known to turn the ball over. So I think you gotta. Yep. It's the same game. I mean, the Lions are not a mystery team. Like, it is the same game plan every time now. And that's get the ball first, get up, dictate the game to the opponent. 50, and like
50 run pass, right? Get a good balance.
So I mean, whatever's working.
Doesn't know what it's going to be.
You know.
Occasionally run on 3rd and 12, right? Because you need to make sure they're thinking about that. Set up for other third downs later.
Yeah. So that's going to be my answer until this team shows me that you can get off the field on 3rd down.
Yeah.
So they just
dictate the game.
Right.
Right.
So
yeah, I think we're going to lose. I hate saying it because I think we have the capability of winning, but I think we're going to lose. But I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like they've been doing with most of their home games. I think it's going to be something like Lions by 1 million. I love it. It's very optimistic. That's a lot of touchdowns. I think it's going to be something like 31-27.
Really?
31-28. I think so.
I'll go 45-42.
Interesting. So it's going to be a shootout.
Listen, I think I was looking at so I won my bet last week because the Lions and the Vikings combined for more than 47 points. So I won $90. So I'm willing to let that ride because the over-under on the Lions and Cowboys is 57.5 points. So that's like 29-28, you know? So like, I'm thinking there's no defense going to be played in this game at all. None. Man. Here's the thing that worries me. Micah Parsons could just fucking wreck this whole thing. Like, yeah. I would line up Micah Parsons across from Eric Decker and just be like, here you go, all day. If I was the Cowboys, I would just be like, you cannot handle. We're going to bet the whole game. I would bet the whole game on Micah Parsons getting like 5 or 6 pressures and like a strip sack.
If there's anybody, if there's a way to stop our offense, it is getting Goff a lot of pressure.
Right.
Like he has to make quick decisions, try to figure out how to be mobile.
He's not. Did you see him spin into the sack?
Yes.
Oh my God. I was like, there's literally no one in front of you. And you spin out of it.
Just step up.
Directly into the guy. Oh, I hated it so much.
So here's my fear with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But also the one thing that actually I think is good. So their last 2 games, they've scored 20 points and 10 points. That's not good. That gives me a little bit of hope. Their previous games, they scored 33, 41, 45, 33, 49, 28, 43. Holy shit, right? That scared the crap out of me. And then before that, they scored 42, 38, 40, 30, and they are blowing teams up or have the ability to blow teams up. But now, granted, a lot of those are like shitty. Oh, they put 40 up against, or 38 points up against New England. Yeah, so can just about anybody else, right? So some of them are like that, but still, those numbers scare the crap out of me. At home, they won by 20, they won by 6, they won by 35, they won by 23. That's a lot. So I think we'll keep it close. I'd love for them to just come out and do it, right? Because I think that you need that momentum going into the playoffs. You want to make sure that you strike fear in your opponent's hearts. If your opponent goes, well, They beat up all the shitty teams, but look what they did against Baltimore. Look what they did against Dallas. That doesn't strike fear in the hearts of anybody. I want that to change for us.
There are 4 teams in the NFC with winning records. So
woohoo, we're one of them.
We're one of the 4, and you can't play yourself. And they haven't played the Niners. They have not played the Eagles. They're going to play the Cowboys. So, I mean, like, if the definition of a good team is to have a winning record, this is not the season in the NFL to do that. And in the AFC, there is there's 2, 3, 4, technically, because
there's like 7 teams with winning records right now.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So when the AFC is playing the NFC, they're beating up on us, right? So unless you're beating AFC teams, I don't think that you can. I don't know that they played any good teams. There just aren't any in the NFC, I guess. Like there aren't.
Well, so the over 500 teams, we've got Philadelphia with 11 wins, Dallas with 10, us with 11, Tampa Bay with 8, San Francisco at 11, LA with 8, and Seattle at 8. So we've got 7,
I missed them.
7 of the 16 teams.
So they lost to Seattle and haven't played the rest, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah, the AFC
I don't
has
care.
Some duds as well, but they've got a lot more 7 and 8s, whereas we got a lot more like 3 and 12, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you can only play who's on your record. I mean, and you don't choose that.
Understand.
So whatever.
Yeah, I think I saw
don't care.
last night that Lamar Jackson is something like 23-1 against NFC teams in his career.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
So I don't know who's going to get MVP this year, but if it's Lamar Jackson, like he's going to silence some doubters.
I was going to ask you about that, but I wasn't sure, being 2 hours in, whether we want to keep chatting on it. But like, I know Brock Purdy was in the conversation.
He's such a bitch.
That is right. He's not the most valuable player.
Yeah. Does anybody really want Brock Purdy as their quarterback? Shut up. I mean, like, come on.
I think Lamar has a chance. Dak had a chance. The last couple of games, he hasn't looked good.
I mean, Dak's
got a legit shot.
It's gonna change week to week by who wins and loses. So,
could Christian McCaffrey?
No.
Get it with the quarterbacks just not being super standout. Is Christian McCaffrey?
So here's my opinion. Here's my theory. In order for a non-quarterback to have a chance to win the MVP, to even be in the discussion, they have to do something that is historic in the NFL.
And even then, it's not going to happen because Cooper Kupp just did that, right?
Right. So Tyreek Hill needs to break Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving yards record. Christian McCaffrey needs to break the all-time single-season touchdowns by a running back, something or other, or set
plus
some unknown
yardage, right?
Yeah, something. To be mentioned in the same breath with quarterbacks who are having an average year.
Yeah.
That is the disparity. There should be they should do what they do in college football, where there is the Heisman Trophy, the MVP, and that just is won by quarterbacks.
Right.
And that's just because that's just the way it is. You cannot be more valuable to your team than a quarterback. You cannot. You can't. I mean, like TJ Watt ties the NFL record for most sacks in a season. He averages more than 1 a game. So almost like 1.5 a game. Doesn't win the MVP. Like, you cannot. It's going to go to a quarterback unless all the quarterbacks are gone.
Yeah.
And that's just it. And that's fine. So, like, call it offensive player of the year.
Player of the year ends up being, right? That's why Kupp got that running away.
Yeah, but there's no prestige to that. Because it's not called most valuable.
Yeah.
So it is true. See what I did there? I destroyed your argument.
Is Purdy the MVP in San Francisco?
No, he's absolutely not the MVP.
But he would get more MVP votes than Christian McCaffrey.
Yes. because of his position. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is the unfortunate point, right?
Correct.
Like,
I'm not saying it's right or it's fair. That's just the way that it is. That's the way that the NFL has shown it's going to treat this award. Like, and I don't particularly care whether it's right, wrong, fair, not fair.
it just is what it is.
Should change. Right? That's just what's going to happen. Nobody can be more valuable than a quarterback. What he's saying
is, like, as far as like voting for MVP, you won't find anybody that's going to be,
It's 100% going to be a quarterback. And like the only time you get a non-quarterback mentioned is if they do something that's historic to the NFL. Yeah, and like, to be honest, like, I don't give a shit. Hatters makes a great point. I don't give a shit about MVP. This is just like a quantifiable thing that people want to talk about to figure out who's the best ever.
Yeah.
You know, like Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs. So what? He's a narcissist asshole.
Yeah.
He's won one Super Bowl and choked in the playoffs the last decade.
But he's got a really good passer rating.
He does.
Yeah.
So, like, right. He's just, so, like, there's no shot you can convince me Purdy is more valuable in San Francisco. He's more valuable in this, like, trying to win this metric than anyone else on his team. Now, here's what I will say.
He's more likely to win this metric than
it's not close. It's not close. But, like, if you wanted to say something like, what is the engine that makes this San Francisco team go? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it Nick Bosa? Is it Kyle Shanahan? Like, then I think that there's a conversation to be had as to, like, who is more important to the roster, but you're never going to convince me, and you're not going to convince the NFL that, like, a non-quarterback is going to win the MVP award unless all the quarterbacks are doing a photo shoot and a meteor hits them.
Right.
It's like, well, we can't award this posthumously, so we're just going to have to give it to someone who's alive. So, like,
so Christian, it's you.
Yeah,
you and Tyreek, you guys fight. I don't know.
You know, and like, other than having to pay rookies more who go to the Pro Bowl, I don't give a shit about the Pro Bowl. You want to talk to me about something like, it's all pro or less. Like, to be honest, like, I'm not going to do Pro Bowls. I don't care about
one wall all pro slot per position,
something like that. You know, and like, the Pro Bowl is not even a football game anymore. Yeah. It's a skills competition and like a touch or flag football that way. It's a tug of war. They're adding the tug of war this year. Won't watch it. You'd have to pay me. So, like, and the players on the best team in the NFL that year don't even go because they still have to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, like, every year there's 11 dudes that just don't go to the Pro Bowl because it's like, well, I'm sorry, we had to go play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's just a joke.
Yeah. And well, that's the way I feel about, like, the Hall of Fame conversations. Phillip Rivers, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. Like, I guess Stafford's got the Super Bowl win, but, like,
that's what it came. That's what counts.
Rivers, what's that?
That's what counts.
It does. And I don't think wins are necessarily a quarterback stat, but everybody else does, right? To me, it's a team stat. Because I know how bad Detroit's defense was for 12 years. And, like, all right, so but, like, and you get those same conversations when it comes to Hall of Fame credentials. Oh, well, Stafford can't be in the Hall of Fame because he only has 2 Pro Bowls. Oh, so he didn't win a popularity contest as much as, I don't know, Brock Purdy or somebody else? Literally, if you can throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and still not make the Pro Bowl, it doesn't matter. It's just a popularity contest, right? And, I think Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan are going to suffer for the same thing.
No.
Drew is taking Stafford first overall all-time quarterback draft.
No. Mike is. Mike will.
I would take Peyton Manning first overall on my all-time quarterback draft. He is the GOAT to me.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, like,
successful of all time.
I respect Matt Stafford as much as any player in the NFL. Like, the dude was a stand-up dude. He never bitched once in his decade in Detroit. That's doing something. That is a record all by itself. That dude never spoke ill of his offensive coordinator, never shit on ownership, never talked his coach down, always lifted his teammates up, The dude is the absolute definition of a professional. I'm super thrilled that he got a Super Bowl win for the Rams, because I think that if anyone deserves anything in the NFL, Matt Stafford deserved the accolade and respect that came with winning that game. Yeah. But he is not my first overall QB in the draft. The best quarterback
go?
What's the definition of best quarterback?
Who is your GOAT? Who do you think is the greatest of all time?
Wow.
The Drew definition.
The Drew definition?
Yeah.
So typically when I'm asked these questions, I default to, there goes Mike. Mike's dead. We lost Mike. That meteor that we were talking about, Mike has now been taken out. Building the Pride is now my podcast. Oh, Mike's alive. Okay.
Just like all of a sudden everything went black. I'm like, oh no.
So
I'm back.
Typically when I'm asked who's the greatest ever, I default to who has proven to have the most success, because I find it difficult to argue with success. So the answer I'm going to give is Tom Brady. But A6 makes a great point, and like I think this is your point as well, is that like Peyton Manning might be the best quarterback who ever actually played football. Like Peyton Manning is effectively a coach, an offensive coordinator, a quarterback, and fucking genius all in one, right? So like
motivational speaker, all of it, right?
I think if Peyton Manning had been given the coaching and roster construction that Tom Brady had in New England, we'd be talking about two quarterbacks who have won effectively the same number of Super Bowls. So I think Hatters makes a good point here. What we would have to define what greatness means. So I think that the easy way to do it, Hatters, is the way that I did it, which is to say you can point to something that indicates greatness, which is to say Super Bowl wins, right? So Joe Montana, Tom Brady, other quarterbacks, Eli Manning's won too, right? Like the number of quarterbacks in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, that have been the starting quarterback on multiple Super Bowl winning teams is not a long list, right? I believe Manning has two, right?
Correct.
Right, one in Indy and one in Denver.
Yes.
So I think, right, and so like A6 makes a good point.
That actually have one with multiple teams, which
right.
is also very hard.
So Brady being one too, right?
Yes.
So like A6 makes a good point. If Brady was drafted by 31 other teams, I don't think he ever starts 10 of those games in his career. That might very well be the case, right? However, the career that we know Tom Brady did have in the multiverse of the NFL is that he's the most successful quarterback who ever played the game. And it's not debatable.
That's the way I define him. Or
right.
I describe him as the most successful quarterback of all time.
Yeah, but like, and so like, and I think that you can have an argument or have a debate about if you had a quarterback, any quarterback in the history of the NFL who had to walk up to the offensive line, examine the defense, and understand where they were going with the ball, how they had to throw it, what the defense was running, that kind of stuff. I think that's the argument for Brady versus Manning, and I think that it's probably Manning, because Manning did, in my opinion, a little more in game with, I think, less than what Tom Brady had. So any quarterback that wins Super Bowl for Detroit automatically becomes the GOAT. If that's Jared Goff, I will not have it. I'm sorry. Like, so when you wanted someone in the game that's going to play the game at the highest level, I think that I would hedge towards Peyton Manning. If you wanted to talk about success, which is where I'm always going to go first, I'm going to say it's Tom Brady. Now, I've been more excited about quarterbacks than either of those guys. I remember when Andrew Luck was coming out, like when I first started getting into like draft analysis, like really seriously, Andrew Luck was in his like sophomore year at Stanford, and I was just completely man crushing on Andrew Luck hard. Right. So like, if you ever watch the Stanford Virginia Tech bowl game, there is a play where Andrew Luck is literally on his way to the ground being tackled and like flings it 15, 20 yards on an out to his wide receiver, who then like tiptoes, falls out of bounds to convert on a first down. And it was like, that might be the greatest individual play I've ever seen from a quarterback. So, and I was just in love with him from that point, and I was super disappointed the way that things went down for him in the NFL. But like, I think A6 made this point earlier, like where you get drafted and what that organization looks like when they draft you means as much as anything else when it comes to defining how successful a quarterback is going to be in his career.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Matthew Stafford on this with this front office and ownership group?
Oh my God.
Come on.
Well, so
right?
I don't really like Colin Cowherd much. He's
of course not. He's a shouty show guy.
Yes. He did have a segment, this was a few years ago, before the trade and everything, where the discussion was who's better, Stafford or Rodgers. And his, it was actually, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes, but essentially what he talked about was Matthew Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers throughout their entire careers. In high school, Matthew Stafford was the highest, graded or ranked high school player in the nation. In college, he was the highest ranked quarterback in the nation. He was the number 1 overall pick, and like he just kind of talked about like that situation. Then it was like, all right, well, where did he get drafted into? Well, he got drafted into an 0-16 team, just coming out of the Matt Millen darkness. And where did Aaron Rodgers get drafted into? And that was a NFC Championship team in Green Bay with the definition of stable ownership, the definition of stable management, good drafting. Like, those are two, like, one was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. The other one was on football food stamps when it came to, like, the environments that they kind of walked into. He's like, you can't convince me that if Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers flipped starting situations, that they wouldn't have very similar careers. Stafford would have had the Super Bowls in Green Bay, and Rodgers would be Super Bowl-less, MVP-less in Detroit. And so, to your point, though, like, it does make a difference where you come into. Like Joey Harrington, he was a great quarterback in college. He came into a Matt Millen-led Detroit. I think if he goes in somewhere else and doesn't essentially have his confidence and everything just shattered, he probably could have been a 10-year vet instead of a 3 or 4 years in out kind of guy.
A6, I did not hear the stuff on Pat McAfee because I refuse to watch that fucking clown. That dude is a court jester that ESPN decided to put on the air. He is fucking trash as far as I am concerned. Yeah, so wear a shirt with some sleeves, take the shit off your desk, and have those motherfucking co-anchors cut their mullets off. Like he is stupid. He is. I can't watch ESPN anymore.
Right.
I can't watch. ESPN has become an absolute joke.
Yeah, I haven't watched ESPN in years.
The only thing I'm watching on ESPN this whole year is the college football playoff. That's because they're on literally no other network.
Yeah.
So.
Real quick, and then we'll sign off here.
This is our longest show ever, I think.
Yes, but it's a lot of fun, and we got actually more people now than we did earlier.
That's crazy.
So everybody that's on now, you should go back from the beginning and watch it. It's good stuff.
We have good stuff in the first 10 minutes too.
It's true. I think for me, Peyton Manning is the best.
Yeah.
Overall quarterback. I think A6 mentioned it about like pre-snap. He could just stand there and look around and go, okay, this is what they're doing, and understand that defense pre-snap, post-snap. He had just a cannon for an arm. It was laser accurate. I think he was, to your point, offensive coordinator, head coach, ultimate leader, like all of that stuff wrapped up in one. If we're just talking about straight pure passing capability, I would put Dan Marino or Drew Brees ahead of him. Like if we're just talking about like can the dude throw the ball, I would put probably Brees even ahead of Marino. Although I didn't get to watch most of. I was too young to really appreciate most of Marino's career. I watched the end, but not with the kind of analytical like site that I would see now. But like I would put Drew Brees as the best pure passer of all time. But overall, I think it's Manning. And honestly, like Stafford versus Rodgers, I think Stafford's better than Rodgers. I would put him above Rodgers. Just different environments in their career.
I have a hard time of giving Aaron Rodgers credit for anything other than being an absolute horrific train wreck of a human being.
Yeah.
But like, the dude has had some amazing NFL seasons, right? And so it's hard for me to claim to be an objective podcast when it's someone that I just don't like. I just don't like him.
Yeah.
And I like Matt.
I'm not saying he's not like one of the all-time greats. Like I would definitely put him in like top 20 of all time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him ahead of Manning, Brees, Brady, like, and I wouldn't put him in front of Stafford. Not that I would put Stafford in those top 4 or 5 slots either, but like of the two, I would take Stafford as my quarterback over Rodgers building a team. I would take Peyton Manning or Drew Brees over either of those guys building a team. But
yeah, so but like okay, so like there is a level, say, with the current players in the NFL. If we were just doing like a Madden draft,
yeah,
where you're like, okay, the pool is the active players in the NFL. There's a level where it's like, okay, I hate his guts, but I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers because I want to win. Because he's just better than X other quarterback that I could draft here. So
yeah, if you were building a team and you only got to do it for 1 year, fantasy football life, but in real life, like who would be your number 1 quarterback to take?
It's Patrick Mahomes. It's not
Patrick
close.
Mahomes. All right. Who would be number 2?
Josh Allen.
Just probably. 1 year. You can figure out the rest of your roster, but like this is the guy you're starting with.
I would probably hedge on Justin Allen. I think that he's probably Josh Allen. Yeah. I'm combining Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. I'm terrible at thinking things now that I've had COVID, but like, yeah, Josh Allen, I think would probably be my number 2.
Yeah. And number 3,
I would probably do Lamar Jackson.
I wouldn't put him up that high, but
I would.
He's in my top 5 or 6 for sure.
I can build a completely different team with Lamar Jackson.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. You're building a different team than you are with a guy like Stafford, who's more pocket passery, right?
Yeah.
Burrow, a little bit more pocket passery, but far more mobile than a guy like Stafford.
So here's my issue with Burrow. The dude has gotten hurt twice and had his season get ended. Yeah, my brain may very well be cooked, A6. We can't debate that. But like, and Joe Burrow is a good quarterback, if not a great quarterback in today's NFL. But like, to answer Mike's question, like who would where am I going to take players? Like, I think that Burrow is in the absolute best spot for him.
Yeah.
And them taking Jamar Chase at 5 the year after they drafted Burrow was maybe the best decision they've ever made outside of drafting Burrow himself.
Well, that also allowed us to get Sewell. That was pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, and I liked picking up Sewell, but like, here's a question I keep asking myself. And then we can go, if you have more to go on this question, Mike, I'm happy to do it. But like, looking back at the 21 draft, the Lions have Sewell and Micah Parsons on the board at 7. If you could go back, knowing what you know now, do you change the pick?
No.
Interesting.
I don't think I do. Do you?
Yeah.
You do?
I like Penei Sewell. I think he's great. But yeah. I think the number 1 pass rusher is more important than your right tackle. I would, going back now, knowing that I could move Parsons to edge, and he would be this disruptive, like a defensive player of the year candidate, I would take. Is it close? Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
But I would take Parsons over Sewell. No hate to Sewell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Knowing what I know now, that's what I meant when I said that.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason I wouldn't is because I think he would help our defense quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that goes without saying.
Right.
I don't know if that one person on defense would do as much to help our defense as what he's doing, what Sewell's doing on our offensive line that's helping our offensive line. Just because there's so much, the baseline for our offense is higher than our defense. Mm-hmm. And I think that just makes us that much better on offense and allows the run game to do better, the pass game to do better. I mean, like you said, it's really close. I would still probably lean towards Sewell, but it's not like a running away, go up and slam the paper down. It's like, all right, guys, we need to talk about this. We got Micah. This is what he's going to do for the next 3 years. We got Panay. This is what he's going to do in the next 3 years. What do we want to do, boys? Right? And so, it would be a debate for sure.
In an NFL that is becoming more and more matchup dependent, I think that Parsons is the better chess piece. So I think that you can ask him to do almost anything on defense, and the guy is going to be above average successful, and he's just darn near elite. Now, is Penei Sewell elite at things like run blocking? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, when they drafted him, he was 21 years old, coming out of Oregon as a junior. No, he's 20 years old, wasn't he? When he came out, he was like super young for his class.
It was 19.
Or was he that young? My God. But like, so like you were like, you're going to get an extra 2 years out of this guy just because he's super young for his class. And like, has he been good? Yeah. You know, but like, I mean, he's been exceptionally good. But like, I think that ultimately what it comes down to for me is if I have to make the determination between paying comparable second contract money to one of those two positions, I want to do it for an edge rusher and not a right tackle. So A6 has made some pretty good points in here. Like, you've backed him up, I think, by saying like, you guys like, well, if you take Sewell, like he helps the run game, he helps the pass game. He is himself elite. Like he's a part of a unit. That's a good point. But like, he's not, Micah Parsons is not asked to be a part of a unit, so I think like, and that's what allows him to be a matchup. So if you have a weaker left tackle than right tackle, I can put him on either side and I'm going to exploit your weakness. So like if Dallas is playing Detroit, I'm going to line Parsons up on Decker. I'm not lining him up on Sewell.
Right.
So like if I had to go back knowing what I know now,
our offense if Sewell's not on our team.
I mean, do you not think that you could find a starting caliber right tackle in the next 2 drafts? I mean,
so
you still have Ragnow, like, you still have Decker, you still have Jackson. I mean, you have 3/5 of the line.
I think his play solidifies it so much. And like, could you find a serviceable right tackle? Sure. Are you going to find a potential Hall of Fame quality right tackle? Probably not. The way he's playing right now, assuming this is a baseline, this is Hall of Fame quality dude here. And I think Micah Parsons also has Hall of Fame quality dude written all over him too, right?
Yeah, they're on the same trajectory here.
Yeah, so like you can't go wrong either way. And which is why it's so close.
It's very close.
Of the coin, right?
And so it's like I'm not harping on people in the chat if they want to keep Sewell. I mean, that's fine. I mean, like it's that close, but like I have always just favored watching the defense as I do more so than the offense, and that makes me, I guess, a little weird. But like I'm just so sick of bad defense that it's just abhorrent to me. So
Sewell was born in October, so he just turned 23 a couple months ago.
Ugh.
So he would have been 19 going on 20, I think, at the time of the draft.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
All right, so we are going to pop back real quick to
Sure.
the GOAT quarterback for just a second.
Sure.
If you have one drive to
Yep.
win the Super Bowl, which quarterback are you taking?
All time or out of the current
All
crop?
time. Well, do both. Do current crop and then all time.
This year, a current crop, I would say Patrick Mahomes. He would be the one that I'd be like, well, my house is on the line. I need one quarterback to go out there and do it. I would pick Patrick Mahomes. I just think he's by far the best quarterback in the NFL. But all time, it's so hard to answer that question.
Yeah.
So like, this is like the eras like
Sure.
argument in basketball, like who's the the best all time doesn't really matter because it's different eras, but like it is Jordan. It's it's what's weird is that I've got Kobe too. I don't have LeBron as two. He's just a bitch. That's so difficult because I want to say like Manning, but then I'm also like Montana's really good.
Right.
And if you really want to get crazy, like you could go back to like Otto Graham and be like, well, if we're talking about he's got to do it in his era.
Yeah.
Otto Graham was just pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah. Like
that kind of shit.
For the current crop, for me, I would take Stafford over Mahomes.
You just love that dude.
I do. He's phenomenal, right? And he's got the highest winning percentage in comeback opportunities and game-winning drive opportunities in NFL history. Like he literally, statistically, has done it better than anybody in history. That said, I think anybody in history, I'd probably still take Peyton Manning. That dude is going to know everything. You got 50 seconds to go 80 yards or whatever. Like he is offense coordinating it like in his mind 2 plays ahead of time, and I just think that he would be the guy that if I would take anybody, it would be him. But Stafford would probably be number 2, just because he does it so damn often, and he's got ice in his veins. Like he doesn't let the fear of failure stop him.
Yeah, and like
Aaron
I don't
Rodgers
think
would be so far down my list because I just don't think he has that ice in the veins killer instinct of like, all right, I got to make this throw, and I know I can.
Right.
I leave my family.
See, that's the thing about Matt Stafford that I think. So I knew I was a Matthew Stafford fan in the Cleveland game when he separated his shoulder.
Yeah.
First of all, I've heard that like I've never dislocated a joint. I hear it's excruciating. So my buddy Alan he's got shoulder problems and like his shoulder will pop out every once in a while. And like, well, I didn't want to speak for you. So like our friend Alan, by the way, he told me that you popped over to his house to like test run some decks or whatever. And I was like, Mike came over here. It was just the two of you and not me. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that's really weird. I don't like it. So, but nothing ever seemed to frazzle Matthew Stafford. Like the term ice in his veins, I don't know, gets enough respect. Like the dude just wasn't flappable. It was always like, this is what I have to do. I'm going to do my best to go do it. And like, he did it more often than, like you just said, like anyone in NFL history. Like that's a real thing, So like, I like Matt Stafford. I don't know that he's an all-timer for me, but he's an all-timer Lion. So,
like I said, if it was just one drive to win the Super Bowl with less than 2 minutes to go and he would be my guy. Yeah, to me, that was the play or the game that endeared him to me as well, separating that shoulder in pain, like just on the ground. And then just to have the wherewithal to hear the whistle, they're taking a timeout. And just instead of like thinking about how bad this fucking hurts, he's like, oh shit, that means I can go in. Like, I don't have to take a play off. I can go in and I can throw one throw if you need me to, coach. And then he fucking throws a laser for a winning touchdown.
And immediately
And
runs out and like collapses.
Yeah,
You know, like,
don't.
oh my God, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
Yeah. Celebrate. We'll celebrate. Me. Just don't give me a hug, guys. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
that one. And
that was great.
The fake spike one, where just like that whole thing.
Classic.
And to just notice the defense standing there, like, okay, they're gonna spike it, and him. Oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna go.
Right.
That's again that like awareness thing.
People.
Yeah. That Cleveland game was that was the thing that did it to me.
People respect toughness, and like they'll follow leadership. And like in that moment at 22 years old or however old he was, you know, you win over every guy on the team, every coach, and everyone that watched him.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't remember there being, I mean, maybe this is just my poor memory having COVID, but like I don't remember people being like Matthew Stafford sucks. I remember them being like Matthew Stafford is good and the rest of the team sucks. Or this team is not built to.
He's pretty polarizing. Either you really liked him, or he was the root of like we don't win because he's not good.
Sure.
And it was for me, it was very frustrating because there was wins are a team stat as far as I'm concerned. That is how quarterbacks get judged, fairly or unfairly. I understand it is what it is, but there was a lot more to he doesn't win for us, and that always irked me, but. Yeah.
Detroit, you got anything else, man?
Nothing else, man.
Yeah, nothing else?
I got nothing else.
I'm exhausted. So what do you say we call this 2.5 episode?
2.5 hours of Lions celebrating being king of the North.
I can't believe we've got... I wish it told us who was watching. Because Hatters and A6 are the only people in chat who are doing anything. So who are the other 4 watching? Kathy, Shannon, is that you? You guys out there? Throw a hey yeah
I got a text
in the
from
chat.
Kath earlier, and they were playing a board game. Although
which game?
We may be on the TV anyway. But
which game are they playing?
Sequence.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
It's very easy.
Oh, nice. You should be great at it.
Oh, Danny's on.
Oh, Danny, great. Probably neglecting.
He got a new Lions jersey. He's like, "Hey, can I come in and show you my Lions jersey?" I'm like, "I'm streaming still. I'll see you in a bit." So,
which jersey?
I don't know. He was gonna show me. I don't know. Oh, he's watching. I'm getting texts saying, "All right, now we know."
Yeah.
All right,
Danny,
guys,
you're terrible, and I'm gonna crush you.
A week from today, I'm hoping that we are celebrating a upset victory from Dallas, which should propel us to the #1 seed, because I think that we're going to beat Minnesota no matter what. So next week is the big game to me, the last big regular season game.
Well, there are only 2 of them, so I'm gonna agree with you. Since Dallas is, in my opinion, a far superior team to Minnesota, but you know. Win out. Fuck it.
Just keep winning.
I just want win.
Back into the playoff.
I just want wins.
You want the momentum.
You know, because then what happens is Brad and Dan can be like 3, 9, 13. What's your 4 look like? You know, like you go out and you stack up. First of all, I absolutely hate this upcoming draft class. I hate it. I think it's terrible for what the Lions need. They only need, oh my God, cut your hair. Look at this. Branch. That's a good pick.
Branch. I like it.
Nice. Now go cut your hair.
Oh, and Rosie has her Lions jersey on too.
Oh, you're the kind of people that put clothes on their pets, huh?
Well, my wife is. And she loved it. So she actually has a lion like hat thing that goes around her head. So she looks like Rory. She's
a human being, so I'm going to let that happen. But like, and I love your wife.
No, not Andrea. The dog does.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So I love your wife, but she has been absolutely great to me. But man, that is.
But stop doing that to the dog.
Please stop. I mean, that is. That's man's best friend, not man's punching bag.
Yeah, I thought I had showed you guys.
Please don't show me any pictures of the dog in clothing.
What?
Please
I
don't.
mean,
Stop
look
it.
at that. Look at
Michael.
that.
Michael,
Ferrari.
this is abuse. It's traumatic, and I don't enjoy it.
It's adorable. Come on.
That's not adorable.
All right, well,
The
let's
worst
get out
kind
of here
people.
and let's talk in a week. Hopefully, another Victory Tuesday.
14-4. Is that right?
Love it. All right,
12
we'll see
and
you
4.
guys.